early 19th century, and as perfect as the day the craftsman made it. I shall hate to part with it from the shop.
Is there any demand for old grandfather clocks, Mr. Merriweather?
Well, for a perfect antique, there is always a demand, even at the price I shall ask.
And that is?
2,000 guineas.
Oh, you'd better double the locks on your doors, Mr. Merriweather. At 2,000 guineas, it's a great temptation.
I've done better than double the locks, Mr. Perry. I've an appointment this afternoon with a gentleman who supplies night watchmen.
Is he reliable?
Oh, yes, indeed. They call themselves Assignments Unlimited, and they have an office at 33 Half Moon Street.
Aubrey Mason at your service. At Assignments Unlimited, we do anything, anywhere, at any time.
33 Half Moon Street.
And so it occurred to me, Mr. Mason, that I would be wise to place a night watchman in the shop while the grandfather clock is there, provided the cost is not too exorbitant.
Oh, I don't think you'll find the fee exorbitant, Mr. Merriweather. It rather depends on how long you'll need a watchman.
Well, now, that's hard to say. Of course, I'm delighted with the grandfather clock myself, but you never can tell with buyers of antiques. I remember a beautiful example of tenant pottery, 12th century, you know, that came into my possession. I thought it would go the next day, but it stood on the shelf for 3 years before the Duchess of Barford happened along and took it up.
3 years? But surely for that length of time you'll be better off employing someone permanently.
Oh, the clock won't stay in the shop as long as that. I have an option on it for only 1 week. I could never afford to buy it myself.
And if you fail to sell it?
Then it goes back to the auctioneering company to be knocked down to the highest bidder.
Oh, I understand. Since it's not your property, you want to make sure of its safekeeping.
Precisely, Mr. Mason. If anything happened to the clock, I really don't know what I'd do. I could never reimburse the auctioneering company.
So I take it you want us to supply a man for, well, any time up to a week. Is that it?
Precisely, Mr. Mason. Oh, dear, I do hope somebody takes it up. You know, I heard of a similar clock that was knocked down for a few shillings to a dock labourer. And you know what he did? Took out the clock for his children to play with, and used the case to keep his pigeons in. Oh, I can't bear vandalism, Mr. Mason.
Well, perhaps the poor fellow didn't know its value.
Yes, I suppose so. Oh, well, I suppose I must get back to the shop. I'll expect your man about 6. I don't usually leave until then. Well, good day to you, Mr. Mason.
Good day, Mr. Merriweather. And we never did discuss the fee after all. Oh, well.
Yes, sir.
Put Cannon on, will you?
Yes, sir. You're through to Mr. Cannon, sir.
You want me, Chief?
Yes, I got a job for you. How are you feeling after your Riviera holiday?
All keyed up, Chief.
Then I've got the perfect job to help you unwind. You're going to play nursemaid to a grandfather clock.
Take the bus, he says. Night watchmen never go by cab. Why I keep working for that guy? Oh, this is it. Clement Merriweather, Antiques and Objets d'Art. Well, might as well meet the new boss.
Ah, good afternoon, sir. I was just about to close up. May I help you with something?
Sure. Show me the water faucet.
I'm sure I don't recollect that piece.
I'm Cannon, the watchman, and since I'm going to be here all night, I figured it might be a good idea to know where I can rustle up some coffee.
The what? Oh, yes, of course. You must be from Assignments Unlimited.
Check.
Check?
That's right, Assignments Unlimited. I understand that I start on the job from 6 p.m., and I'm right on time.
Well, a little early in point of fact. Can't mistake the time here, Mr. Cannon. Look around you. I have more than a dozen clocks in the shop of all ages, but they all keep the present time.
Yeah, so what do I have to do?
Well, you simply have to guard the shop during the night. Oh, especially this beauty here.
What is it?
Oh, come, Mr. Cannon, it's a grandfather clock.
You mean this old piece of junk can tell the time? Holy smoke.
A lovely sound, isn't it? Music to the ears.
Music? Why don't you play a record of the Rolling Stones for accompaniment?
I beg your pardon, Mr. Cannon?
That's all right. Forget it. Wow.
You won't have much chance of sleeping on the job, Mr. Cannon, eh?
You mean these clocks go off every hour on the hour?
Of course, yes. I keep everyone in apple pie order. Oh, perhaps you'd like me to explain the origins to you, eh?
Some other time, Mr. Merriweather. That faucet for the coffee?
Oh, that's out at the back. See? You go past the medieval armor, under the early Norman tapestry, and turn left by the warming pans.
Boy, Davy Crockett should have seen this.
Well, I leave you to it then, Mr. Cannon. Browse round if you wish.
Yeah, I'd like to, with a blazing torch.
Good night.
Good night. Now, what did he say? Pass the armor. Push aside the tapestry. Brother, this must have been hung up by the doll who made it. Warming pans. Now, what do you suppose a warming pan would look like? This, maybe? Copper kettle on the end of a baseball bat? Turn left. Eureka. And I'm wrong at that. Archimedes used a bath. That works. Now the gas ring. Great. Now all I need is a pot. The warming pan. No, on second thoughts, I don't know what they use those pans for. There's somebody at the door. Now, who do you suppose that is? It could be old Merriweather forgot to wind up one of his clocks. And I'm on this job for a week. I better steal his keys.
Oh, has Mr. Merriweather gone home?
That's right, ma'am. Something I can do for you?
Well, I wanted to have a look at a grandfather clock he's just acquired. Unfortunately, I was delayed in the traffic.
Well, he'll be back in the morning, ma'am.
Oh, that's no good, I'm afraid. It'll be too late.
Ma'am, this timepiece has stood around for a long time. It'll still be here in a couple of thousand years more. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that this is the grandfather of all grandfather clocks.
I've come in from the country, you see. I have to go back tonight. Daddy will ring through in the morning and arrange purchase by telephone if I can inspect the clock this evening.
You mean you want to buy this thing?
If it's worth the price Mr. Merriweather asks.
Step right in, lady. Just step right in.
Oh, thank you.
While you're at it, there's a dozen more draped around. Maybe the old boy will give them to you wholesale.
Are you the new assistant here, then?
No, I'm the night watchman, first day on duty.
Oh, I see.
But only until somebody buys that grandfather clock.
You don't sound too happy with your job.
I'm not. Say, do you know all about this time gear? I mean, how they wind up, you know?
Oh, I do indeed. Why do you ask?
Look, is it possible to fix a clock so that it won't chime? I mean, just temporarily, of course. You see, there's more than a dozen ticking away in here, and every hour, on the hour, they all set up a chiming together, and, well, it makes me feel like a mouse trapped on the bells of St. Mary's.
He's a quaint old chap, isn't he, Mr. Merriweather? I can fix them for you if you like.
Ma'am, you're an angel in disguise. Oh, and there's one other thing.
Yes?
Look, if this is an embarrassing question, just forget I asked it, but, do you happen to know what a warming pan was used for?
Of course, to warm the bed.
No kidding. But, what about the long handle?
Well, they used to put hot coals in the pan and push it in far up under the bed covers. Now, don't tell me you're going to warm your bed with one.
No. I was going to make coffee. The water's there, the gas ring's there, but I don't have a coffee pot.
You really are most amusing, Mr.
Cannon. Just Cannon.
Oh, I'm Jane Fenton, by the way. I'm sure there must be a coffee pot of some sort. Yes. Here we are. What about this?
Well, that's great. Look, suppose I go past the armor, under the tapestry, out back and make coffee while you fix the clocks. I've got sugar, instant coffee, and a can of cream.
Oh, that'd be wonderful, Mr. Cannon. I'd love a cup of coffee.
Then I'm on my way. You muzzle these chronometers for me, and I'll be your friend for life.
When I've finished, not one clock will chime tonight. Now, you go off and make the coffee.
But you got to show me how to start them up again in the morning.
You look after the coffee. I'll take care of the clock.
With the company of this most attractive girl, went off to the back of the shop to boil water for the coffee. Jane Fenton, he thought, must really know about clocks, for he half expected to hear her clattering around the shop. But she made no sound. Eventually the coffee was ready, and beaming with delight, Cannon returned to where he'd left the girl by the grandfather clock.
Come and get it. Coffee's ready. But you know, Sonny, we forgot cups to drink from. Maybe you can rustle up a couple of mean bowls of... Miss Fenton? Miss Fenton, where are you? Did you fix the clocks? Miss Fenton? Holy mackerel. There's something screwy about this. Hey, Miss Fenton! She's not here. But she couldn't have gone through the door. I'd have heard the doorbell. Bell, yeah. Well, what do you know? The striking pin on the bell is held back by tape. She didn't even look at the clocks. The only bell she fixed was the one on the door. Now, I wonder why she did that.
Wildered Cannon shook his head and, turning, marched back to his coffee. The girl, Jane Fenton, had taped the shop's doorbell so that he wouldn't hear her leaving. But why? If she objected to fixing the clocks, or if she objected to Cannon for that matter, surely all she had to do was thank him politely and go. It was then he noticed something about the grandfather clock.
5 minutes to 7. Must have stopped. Oh, so she did fix one of the clocks. Now, how do you suppose I started up again? The pendulum's inside the door. Oh, it's locked. And there's no key. How do you think she opened it without a key?
Hello there. Oh, I'm lucky. I thought you'd be closed already.
Now, the shop is closed.
Ah. Well, the door was open, so I came in. Are you Mr. Merriweather?
No, I'm the watchman. Like I said, the shop's closed.
Oh, pity. Look, I wanted to look at the grandfather clock. I understand it's for sale.
Well, how is it you want to look tonight? It's after 7. The clock will still be there tomorrow, my friend.
Yes, I realize that. You say you're the night watchman?
Uh-huh.
Then I'm sure a pound note wouldn't be out of place.
If it was in my pocket, it would. What's the idea? You trying to bribe me?
Bribe? Good heavens, all I want to do is have a look at the clock. You know, to see if it's worth what he's asking.
And what is he asking?
2,000 guineas.
You're not serious.
Very serious. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Merriweather had a dozen buyers in here tomorrow morning.
2,000 guineas for that load of junk?
If it's genuine, it's early 19th century. A masterpiece of construction and a very valuable antique. Well, can I have a look at it?
I still ask you, why tonight?
You see, if it's the genuine article, then I shall be outside the shop at the crack of dawn to be sure of getting in first.
For 2,000 guineas?
In cash. Here's the pound note.
Well, you'll get no joy out of that, grandfather. It's locked and there isn't a key.
No, I can manage all right. I'm an expert with clocks of all kinds.
Well, in that case, you can do me a favor. All these other clocks are wound up and going. At 8 o'clock, they'll all start right off chiming together. Could you fix them for one night so that they keep the peace? I'd want to know how to start them up again before Mr. Merriweather arrives.
Very well. Come with me and I'll show you. With the pendulums, you just hold them still.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the pendulum.
Yep.
Now there are 7. I'll show you the first one, and we'll do them together.
Okay.
All right?
You just
Yeah.
hold it
now,
still, huh?
Yes.
Ah, simple as that. Then, why didn't she fix them?
What's that, old man?
Oh, nothing. I get into the habit of talking to myself. You know how it is. A night watchman leads a lonely life.
Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's fix the pendulums. Now, look, will you fix the others while I take a look at the grandfather?
Okay, but see you don't damage it getting the door open.
I won't, don't worry.
What are you doing in that thing?
Testing for dry rot. It's a beautiful piece, but if a worm gets into the wood, the clock is useless. In time, the whole thing will be reduced to powder. Oh, not the working parts, of course. This pendulum, for instance, is made of solid brass. It's heavy. It'll last forever.
So, what's the verdict?
Unfortunately, there is a trace of worm. It's still in magnificent condition. It's a magnificent piece to acquire, although I'm not sure that his price isn't too high. However, it was good of you to allow me to examine it.
Well, it's the easiest pound I ever earned, and you ever lost, Mr.
Oh, Trigg's the name. Mr. Trigg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I must go. It's getting late. Oh, only 7:25. Oh, of course all the clocks are stopped.
It's 25 to 8.
Yes, and you've got a long night in front of you, I suppose. Good night.
Good night. I think I'll have a look at that clock myself. He locked it again. Wonder what they were looking for. Oh, well, the clocks won't chime again tonight, so I may as well get a few hours sleep. Oh, brother, business as usual. Old Merriweather should move his stall onto the railroad station. Okay, I'm coming. The shop's closed.
I know that. Do you think I've lost my sense of sight?
What do you want?
Who are you?
The night watchman?
Then if you'll just stand to one side, I'll come in.
Look, I'm the night watchman. Nobody comes in after hours.
Do you know whom you're addressing?
No. And what's more, I don't care.
You impertinent fellow.
Okay, take it easy, Grandad.
I'm Lord Blenstoke and a customer of Mr. Merriweather. I'll see you lose your job over this.
Be doing me a favor. Now, good night. The shop is open for business at 9 in the morning.
Just a minute. Perhaps I was a little hasty. The fact is, I left a briefcase somewhere today. It has some important papers in it which are confidential. I've retraced my steps to everywhere I can think of that I've visited today, but I've had no luck. I was in this shop this morning, and I wondered if by some chance I left it here.
So you want to come in and look around, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, come on in, but make it snappy. I want to get some rest, huh?
Well, are you allowed to sleep on the job?
Well, I've tried 3 times to make a pot of coffee. Every time it goes cold on me. This shop is busier when it's closed than when it's open.
What's that? You've had other nocturnal callers?
Not only that, I've had other night visitors.
Who were your other visitors?
A dame called Jane Fenton and a guy named Trigg.
What?
And why the surprise, Duke?
What did they come here for?
Well, Mr. Merriweather has a valuable possession in the shop. He wouldn't think so to look at it, but it's worth 2,000 guineas. That clock over there.
The grandfather clock?
The same.
Oh, may I look at it?
Oh, no, not you, too.
I'd make it worth your while.
You know, a couple of months on the night watch and I could retire. Okay, go ahead, help yourself. It's locked, but I've no doubt you can open it.
As a matter of fact, I can. I am...
Yes, an expert in these things, I know. So were the others. At least they said they were. Mind you, I know that Trigg knew his stuff. He fixed all the clocks so they wouldn't chime on account of they were ruining my beauty sleep.
What excuse did Miss Fenton and Mr. Trigg make?
Well, it wasn't a lost briefcase. They came right out and said they wanted a pre-inspection of the antique.
Did they tell you who they were? What's your name, by the way?
Cannon.
Well, Cannon?
They only said that they might be interested in buying it, that's all.
How odd. The clock was delivered here from the auctioneers. If they were all that keen, they could have made a deal with Merriweather at any time today.
Well, Jane Fenton said she'd come in from the country.
Yes, that's true. She lives just outside London. It was only an hour away, and the clock was well advertised. Everyone knew it was in this shop.
So you've got my interest roused. Who and what are Miss Jane Fenton and Mr. Trigg?
Antique dealers.
Then I don't get it. I mean, why didn't they give Mr. Merriweather a ring?
You may well ask. Isn't it obvious that they wish to examine the clock unobserved?
But I watched Trigg at work. He said he was looking for termites.
That's not true. He wasn't looking for termites. He was searching for something else.
Well, like what?
That's what we're going to try and find out, Cannon.
You mean you don't know?
No. And I really did come to look for my briefcase. It's there on Merriweather's desk.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's screwy. So, how do we find out what they wanted to find out?
Merriweather loves his possessions as a mother loves its child. The difference is he makes copious notes of the history of his antiques, whereas a mother keeps a snapshot album. His ledger is on the desk. Let's get to work.
Thoroughly intrigued, Cannon pored over the ledger with Lord Blenstoke. The fiery old man attacked the pages with gusto, and at last...
I've got it. Here, Cannon. It's here.
Where? What have you found?
Now, listen to this. In 1847, on the death of the Duchess of Pionte, the clock was held under guard by members of the household. Rumor had it that the Duchess's jewels had been secreted in the clock, since no sign of her jewels was ever found, and it was known that they had not been sold. Well, what do you think of that?
They were looking for jewels. Or maybe Jane Fenton found them. I didn't tell you that she left in a hurry while I was in the back making coffee.
You may be right, of course, but I see no reason why we shouldn't search for them. They must be carefully hidden if they are there. Merriweather must have carefully inspected his prize, and it's obvious that he didn't find any jewels.
Then What are we waiting for?
Stay right where you are.
Oh, no, not another visitor.
Come on, both of you. It's a fair cop, my lads.
My good fellow, do you know to whom you're talking?
No, I don't, but the sergeant will be interested at the station.
I beg your pardon.
You made a big mistake, my lads, stopping those clocks. I hear them every night on my beat, but I didn't hear them at 8 o'clock. So I thought, that's funny, and I came to investigate. Now, are you coming quietly, or do I have to use force?
Voluble protestations, Lord Blenstoke and Cannon were marched off to the police station. It took but a few minutes to establish their identities, and they were promptly released with an apology. Blenstoke and Cannon hurried back to the shop in Brompton Road.
Oh, vandals. Vandals, Mr. Cannon. Its beauty lost forever.
I don't know what to say, Mr. Merriweather. I mean, the cop insisted that we accompany him.
I know. Oh, vandalism is the most evil of all vices.
Well, they might find the culprits. I mean, we know that Trigg and Miss Fenton came here. They must have found out about the jewels.
A fairy story, Mr. Cannon. I examined the clock myself. There were no secret compartments.
Tell me, was this clock insured?
No.
Oh, holy cow, 2,000 guineas. Who's going to pay the auctioneering company?
Well, I can't. I haven't got 2,000 shillings.
Gee, I just don't know what to say. Well, the working parts are okay, though. Maybe you could build a new case or something. I mean, Trigg said the pendulum was made of solid brass. He said it'll last forever.
Then Trigg's a fool. A heavy pendulum needs a counterbalance. This clock was fitted with a light copper skinned bulb-type pendulum. But what does it matter now? Without the case, the clock is valueless. Mr. Cannon, are you all right?
What?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Mr. Merriweather, don't bank on anything, but I've got a funny feeling that your sentiments about vandals are going to undergo a rapid and violent change.
The axe used by the interloper was lying handy. My operator picked it up and with one blow severed the bulb at the end of the pendulum.
You see? It's hollow.
Of course. Much like a ball valve on a cistern.
But, Mr. Merriweather, it's not empty. Here, take a look.
Well, I never. So it wasn't a fairy story after all. The old girl did hide her jewels in the clock.
Yes, a small fortune in precious stones lay at his feet, small enough and light enough not to affect the working of the grandfather clock. And now you know why the story tonight was called Saved by the Gong.
Under Secretary's office. Good morning.
Give me Michael James, miss. Confidential.
Who is speaking, please?
Charles Lane works.
You're going through, sir. Mr. Charles Lane to speak to you, sir.
Thank you. Hello, Charles. Hello, Michael. Sorry to worry you, but there's a minor snag in the barrier strip for Bernard Higgins.
Bernard, the assistant public hangman?
Yes. You know, he's been detailed to, perform his duties in France on the Avenue Foch murder.
Yes, that's right. One of our soldiers was found guilty. What about it?
Higgins has left by air, but he's also left instructions that his rope is to be sent over by special messenger.
The hangman's rope?
Afraid so. Who shall I send? One of your men?
Well, I can't spare anybody, Charles. Tell you what, there's a firm just off Piccadilly who specialize in odd sort of jobs. Give them a ring on Grosvenor 5995.
5995. Got that. What's the address?
Just a minute. Assignments Unlimited. 33 Half Moon Street.
When Charles Lane outlined the job he had for us, it seemed so simple and straightforward that I thought it hardly worth the attentions of a special operator. A British soldier had been convicted of murder in France and was to be executed there under British law. The assistant hangman, Bernard Higgins, had been detailed for the task and had left by air for Orly Airport in Paris. But for some reason, he'd left his rope behind with instructions that it was to follow him. There was apparently some urgency, and the rope was to be dispatched immediately by special messenger. A macabre assignment, perhaps, but a simple one. Lane handed me a closed suitcase and a return ticket to Paris, and since the weather was fine, I decided to enjoy a few hours in Paris myself. Leaving details of my whereabouts with Miss Fairweather, I left with a suitcase for London Airport, boarded the Paris plane, and half an hour later touched down on French soil.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour.
You will be staying long in Paris, monsieur?
Oh, just 3 hours. I'm catching the afternoon plane back again.
Do you have a reservation?
Yes. Here it is.
Thank you, monsieur. Where would you like to sit on your return journey? Up front?
Well, that'd be fine.
Your luggage, monsieur?
The suitcase? Well, not exactly. I'm to deliver it.
May I see?
Of course. Oh, these papers go with it.
Merci. The British Ministry of Works, I see. Just a moment, monsieur. I think there is a message for you. Anton, oui? Il y a un rapport, monsieur, au Père Maison. Oui, si, It was left by a gentleman an hour ago. Merci. There.
Thank you. Oh, yes, it's just to change the address to where I'm to deliver the suitcase.
Up here. Is there anything you have to declare, monsieur?
No, nothing at all.
The suitcase, may I look inside?
Of course.
It is quite heavy. What do you carry here from the Ministry of Works?
It's a hangman's rope.
Pardon, monsieur.
The soldier who's to be hanged tomorrow. The hangman is here already, and the suitcase contains his rope. Well, don't you want to look inside?
That will not be necessary, monsieur. Thank you. That is all.
This note from the hangman.
It was the hangman who left the note?
Yes.
Parbleu.
Well, is something wrong?
No.
Well, it says I'm to go to 16 Rue Fiable. Do you know where that is, by any chance?
I am sure that the taxi driver will, monsieur. Manuel! Take this gentleman to 16 Rue Fiable, at once.
Si, senor.
Many of our taxis are driven these days by Spanish immigrants, monsieur. But Manuel knows Paris intimately. Good day, monsieur.
The Capitano seemed in a hurry to take his leave of you, senor.
Yes, he did, rather. You speak English very well.
In Paris, the language is as necessary as French, senor. The Capitano did say Rue Fiable.
Yes. Well, why do you ask?
It is a quarter of Paris that has a bad reputation, senor. But no doubt you have a good reason for going there.
I have.
Must I wait for you, senor?
No, that won't be necessary, thank you.
You are to meet someone there, senor?
Now, look, Manuel, I suppose you drive me to where I want to go and don't ask so many questions.
Now I understand.
What do you understand?
An English gentleman is put into my taxi by the Capitano of Customs, and I must drive to Rue Fiable. The Capitano gives me much work, senor. Manuel will ask no more questions. No questions at all.
There you are. Keep the change.
Grazie, senor. And good luck, senor.
16. Well, he was certainly right about the area. Unsavory is a mild word. I wonder why Higgins wanted the suitcase delivered here. Oh, well, there's one way to find out. Yeah, that's odd. Unlocked. Hello? Hello? Anyone at home? Hello? Oh, there's no one here. Oh, there's a note on the tin. Please leave suitcase on table. Thank you, Higgins. There's something fishy about this. I don't know what your game is, Mr. Higgins, but I'm not leaving the suitcase here.
Where are you going to, mate?
What? Oh. Well, where did you come from?
The kitchen. You brought Higgins's rope?
Yes, it's in this suitcase.
Well, why don't you leave it on the table like he asked in the note?
Who are you, may I ask?
A friend. You should have told the taxi to wait. You'll have to walk halfway back to the river to get another one. Well, go on. Put the case on the table and scarp her.
Look here, let's get one thing straight, old chap. I've not the least intention of leaving anything here until I meet Higgins in person. My instructions are to leave the suitcase with him and no one else. Now, do I make myself quite clear?
I told you I was a friend, didn't I?
Can you identify yourself?
Are you trying to be funny, mate?
Well, perhaps I was, unconsciously. Well, then, if you're a friend of Mr. Higgins, you can tell him that I've left his suitcase at the original address, the Hotel Cormorant. He can collect it there at the desk.
Now, just a minute, mate. Not so fast. I tried to be friendly with you, didn't I? Now, just give me the case like a good bloke and scarp her. And if you know what's good for you, you'll keep your mouth shut, see?
Are you threatening me, my fellow?
Give me that case.
What an unsavory character. Like the area you live in. Well, I'll leave you to your sweet dreams and walk towards the river.
Stay where you are.
Oh, who the blazes are you?
Let's say that I'm a woman with a purpose. Now, put the suitcase on the table. I warn you, I'll use this gun on the least provocation.
It seems to me that a lot of people are going to do a lot of trouble just to lay hands on a hangman's rope.
Perhaps. Just do as I say.
Oh, who are you trying to fool? That gun you're waving at me isn't fitted with a silencer. If you fire it, you'll have half the neighbors about your ears, followed by the gendarmerie.
See that vase on the mantelpiece?
Yes. Nice shot.
Nice sound. It's as familiar here as beetle music in a working-class suburb.
I'm beginning to believe you.
That's better. Now, what's your name?
Mason, Aubrey Mason. Yours?
It's not important. Are you from the ministry?
No. No, I run a private organization, Assignments Unlimited. I was employed to bring the suitcase here by the ministry.
I thought you looked a bit too intelligent for a ministry man. You can handle yourself, too. The tiger got quite a shock, and he's an ex-pugilist. No, don't turn around. I'm not quite sure what to do with you, Mr. Mason. You've upset our plans quite a bit. Now, tiger.
The rotten lousy.
Hold it. Once is enough. You could only get better of him when he wasn't looking.
Why, he took me by surprise,
Yes,
Nada.
didn't he? Pity a man like him has to come to an untimely end. He'd be worth 6 of you. But I have a feeling that Mr. Mason, whoever he might be, has far too many scruples. All right, tie him up and dump him in the corner. The hatchet will be here at midnight, and he can write Fini to Mr. Mason.
Okay, I'm coming. Every time I try to take a bath. What do you want?
Mr. Cannon, do you have to shout like that?
Oh, it's you.
Well, how do you know it's me?
Look, what is this, a guessing game? Miss Penny Fairweather of Assignments Unlimited. I know your voice anyway. I was taking a bath and it's my night off.
Well, there's no need to stand on your dignity.
I'm not standing on my dignity. I'm standing on... Oh, never mind. I suppose the chief wants me.
I'm afraid he might.
You're afraid he might. Look, he either wants me or he doesn't.
If you'd just let me explain, Mr. Cannon.
Okay, what is it?
Mr. Mason left for Paris late this morning. He was supposed to take the afternoon plane back. He booked, but he hasn't returned.
Well, maybe he got tied up.
But you know he always leaves a message.
Did you check with the airport?
Of course.
So what was he doing in Paris anyway?
Delivering a hangman's rope.
Well, it's one way of boosting the export drive.
It was for Mr. Higgins, the executioner. I phoned him in Paris, and he hasn't received the rope, nor has he seen Mr. Mason. I got a little worried, so I phoned you.
Okay, so I'll go to Paris in the morning and see if I can find him. Now, do you mind if I get back to my bath?
Couldn't you go tonight, Mr. Cannon? There's a Westbury freight plane, leaves in half an hour. It would all be on the expense sheet.
Well, what am I supposed to do all night in Paris? Well, that wasn't a very intelligent remark, Miss Fairweather. Okay, I'll go.
Well, I've booked 2 seats.
2 seats?
Oh, I thought I'd come with you to give you the full brief.
Oh, well, then that remark wasn't so unintelligent after all.
What's that, Mr. Cannon?
Never mind skipping.
I'll pick you up in 10 minutes, Mr. Cannon. Well, that should give you time to make yourself respectable.
Well, my life became respectable when you booked that second seat. Okay, Penny Fairweather, but if you've got me off on a wild goose chase, you know what I'll do with that hangman's rope?
Yeah, Well, you've just told me, Mr. Cannon. Skip it.
My head was throbbing like a million devils gone mad. I felt sick and my tongue was twice its size in my throat. After a while, I became conscious of my surroundings. The dingy room, the table, and the suitcase. The suitcase? Oh, yes, there it was on the table just as I'd left it. Fragments of the cheap vase littered the floor, and I remembered the girl with the gun, and the lout she'd called Tiger. But I was alone, bound hand and foot. My eyes alighted on the suitcase again, and suddenly I had an overwhelming compulsion to see what was inside. Then I saw the broken fragments of pottery again. I rolled over and over towards the mantelpiece. Sitting up, I searched behind my back with my bound hands, and with numb fingers caught a sharp fragment of the vase. My head swam again, and I lost my balance. The sharp edge on the broken pottery knifed into me, and I felt the warm trickle of blood oozing from a cut in my thigh. I tried again. This time, I wedged the piece of vase in between a crack in the fire grate. Then I began to saw the rope binding my hands, slowly, slowly, with infinite patience, slowly, slowly.
Are you sure it's all right for us to come in here, Mr. Cannon?
Look, the guy at the airport said this is where the captain goes to relax. We got to talk to the captain, so we come here. And come to think of it, the captain hasn't got bad taste at that.
Table for two, monsieur?
No. I was looking for the captain of customs, Orly Airport. They said he might be here.
Ah, oui, monsieur. Captain Jacques Leroy. That one, monsieur.
Huh? Not the blonde.
Lady friend, monsieur.
Oh, I see, yeah. Oh, thanks very much. Come on. Excuse me, Captain Leroy?
Yes?
Well, my name's Cannon. I'm looking for a man who should have boarded the afternoon plane back to London. He didn't make it, and I wondered if you might remember him.
How could I remember him if he didn't arrive?
Well, he came in on the late morning plane. You couldn't mistake him because his luggage was, let's say, out of the ordinary.
Not the man with the hangman's rope?
Yeah, that's right. Any idea where he went to?
I most certainly do. Pardon, chérie. Reviendra tout de suite. Come this way. My wife, you know. She would be upset if she knew the contents of that suitcase.
Yeah, well, it was only a quarter of hemp broke.
I know.
They always make it out of hemp stronger, you know.
Yes.
Couldn't afford to have it snap.
Monsieur, I put your friend in a taxi. There was a note left for him to go to number 16 Rue Fiable. It is what you call a rough quarter of Paris. He was taken there by a Spanish taxi driver, Manuel. I do not know his other name. That is all I can tell you. Good night.
16 Rue Fiable, you said?
Yes, that is correct, monsieur. Au revoir.
Well?
Well, now we know where he went. Let's grab a cab. We're hot on the scent, which is more than I can say for the captain's wife.
He seemed quite upset about the rope.
And do you know why, Penny Fairweather? His wife.
His wife?
Yeah. She's giving him too much rope.
I wonder why the driver wouldn't wait for us, Mr. Cannon.
Well, this looks like a crummy joint to me. Maybe I shouldn't have brought you along.
You'd have no compunction about bringing Gail Hamilton.
Well, that's different. Well, then, number 16. Here it is.
Shall I ring the doorbell?
No, not yet. There's something here that's offbeat. The chief came over here at the request of the Ministry of Works. That makes the journey official. Now, why would they have something delivered to a flap house like this?
The customs captain said Mr. Mason received a note asking him to change the assignation.
Well, that checks. You said this hangman fellow Higgins didn't get the rope that was sent to him.
Well, that's what he told me on the phone.
Uh-huh. Okay, you stay close behind me. We're going in. What is it?
Look, under the door. Blood.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
It's locked. Look, I'm going to bust it in. Stand back.
Is that you, Cannon?
The chief. Yeah, it's me, Chief. You all right?
Yes. Listen, don't break down the door. Have you got your skeleton keys?
You bet.
Well, use them.
Okay.
Mr. Mason.
Oh, it's all right, Miss Fairweather. May I ask why you brought her to a place like this, Cannon?
Oh, it wasn't his fault, Mr. Mason. I wanted to come.
We only played a hunch, Chief. We didn't know.
Lock the door again, will you, Cannon?
Can we lock it from the inside?
Yes. Our birds will be back sometime, I think. I'd like them to find the door just as they left it.
Okay. Well, what happened anyway?
Oh, I was held up at gunpoint by an attractive young lady and coshed by an ex-pugilist. So far as I can gather, simply so that they could get their hands on a hangman's rope. But after messing me up, they left the suitcase containing the rope behind.
You mean the rope's still in there?
Coiled, but fortunately not knotted.
Well, it could be they're friends of the condemned man and just wanted to keep the rope from the hangman.
Oh, possibly. But would it be kind to delay the execution of a friend when he's doomed anyway?
No evidence, maybe?
Oh, there's machinery of law to take care of that contingency.
Yeah, but this is France, Chief.
Well, the man was tried by British justice. Hence the hangman and not Madame Guillotine. How did you find me here?
The captain at the airport said that you could...
I can hear someone coming.
Look, move up the window, Chief. I'll deal with whoever it is.
Not on your life, Cannon. That's a heavy tread. It just might be an ex-pugilist named Tiger. I've a small score to settle.
Well, not bad at all. We haven't lost a touch, Chief. And, looking at him, I'd say that you've more than even the score.
I haven't, Cannon. That's not the Tiger. I've never set eyes on this man before. We waited in that filthy hovel until dawn, but no one else came. A search of the heavily built stranger revealed an armpit holster that carried a small, shiny steel hatchet, honed to razor sharpness. Well, the purpose of his visit was pretty obvious. He didn't recover consciousness. I must have hit him harder than I intended, but reflecting on the reason for his presence, I felt no regrets. At dawn, we delivered the rope to the hangman, aloof in his officialdom and surly at the delay. And 2 hours later, spruced and clean again, we were winging our way back to London.
Well, Chief, it's got me bamboozled. That gorilla with the hatchet meant business. Now, who got all that trouble just to keep a public hangman from his hempen rope?
I can't fathom it either, unless they thought I was the hangman.
You mean some nut working on an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth?
Oh, it's a remote possibility.
You know, maybe that's why Higgins, the hangman, travels with no luggage.
Charming thought. Well, they might have warned me. Good heavens.
What's the matter?
Keep your newspaper in front of my face. All right. She's gone past. Watch for her coming back. She mustn't see me.
Yeah, it was some dame. Who is it?
The young woman who held me up at gunpoint last night.
No kidding.
I was never more serious in my life.
Well, shall I tell the pilot to radio ahead?
No, not yet. I'm absolutely sure it's the same woman, of course, but it's another thing to prove it. When we land, we'll check with the manifest and see who she is. Then I think it'll be time for the police.
Will all passengers extinguish cigarettes and fasten seatbelts, please? We're coming to land now at London Airport. Will all British and French nationals report through exit B, other nationals through exit Y?
All right, I'll use my own paper this time. I made a slip in it. Well, she's seated. It's her, no doubt about it. A girl like that, it's unbelievable.
Maybe, Chief, but that hatchet was awful real. You know, I'm going to tell her, though. I just got a feeling that if we give her enough rope, she'll hang herself.
Yes, here we are, sir. The passenger list. Seat number 18, Mrs. Nada Lazare.
Do you know anything about her?
Oh, Mrs. Lazare. Well, she's reckoned to be the best dressed in England or France. Not surprising. Her old man's supposed to have left her a fortune. She's always on the society page. Goes to the continents just about every week. Anything else you want to know, sir?
No, you've been most kind. Here's something for your trouble.
Thank you, sir.
Come on, Cannon. Well?
Well,
is there a word to describe that?
Sure. Screwy. Look, Chief, I'm going to tell that doll like I said. If you don't hear from me for 3 or 4 days, don't worry.
You won't do anything illegal, Cannon.
Oh, Chief, you know me better than that.
Yes, I do. That's why I asked.
Just leave it to me. I've got an idea about this hangman's rope deal. Could be I'll use it to tie up the loose ends.
I'd noticed that Cannon had made a note of Nada Lazar's address and wondered what reception he'd received when he paid her a call. I wasn't kept wondering long. The morning newspaper headlines screamed the news from every corner.
Read all about it. Society woman missing. Mrs. Lazar missing from London flat. Read all about it.
Where was the mysterious Mrs. Lazar? Only Cannon knew. But she was safe, well cared for and nurtured by the patient Cannon. In fact, he was the lady's only companion for 3 days. He did nothing at all. He didn't even talk to the lady. Yet at the end of 3 days, it wasn't just the headlines that were screaming.
All right. Whoever you are, you win. You win, I tell you. What do you want? Money? I'll give you anything you like. Just name it, but let me free.
I just want to know why you sent a hatchet man to carve up my chief. I also want to know why you stole a hangman's rope and then threw it away.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
I'll bet you will. But you know, I don't think you have to tell me a thing, Nada Lazar. I think I know it already.
Cannon phoned the police, and the mystery was ended. Mrs. Nada Lazar was not left a wealthy woman on the demise of her husband. But she had grown accustomed to the sweet life and didn't take kindly to giving it up. Accepted as she was in social circles and known to be a constant traveler, she took to smuggling. Mrs. Lazar was a resourceful woman. Narcotics were her speciality, and like most dope peddlers, she fell for her own wares. Addicted to drugs, she broke down under the 3 days' surveillance by Cannon and told him everything. Cannon had guessed right. On my trip to the continent, the suitcase containing the hangman's rope also contained a fortune in marijuana. She guessed that the customs official would never open the case to examine its grisly contents. Nothing is more unnerving than a hangman's hempen rope. Marijuana, by the way, is also called Indian hemp, which gave the story its title, Hemp for the Hangman.
Grosvenor 5995, assignments unlimited. Good morning.
Good morning. I want a man to pick up a light van for me. It's in the country. Can you supply me with such a man?
Yes, sir. Whereabouts is the van?
Near Colchester, but it's a bit off the beaten track. I'll have to cover up with a map of the area. Is that possible?
Shall I make an appointment with the managing director, sir?
If you will. It's rather urgent.
3:30 this afternoon, sir.
That will suit me very well. What's the address, by the way?
We're at 33 Half Moon Street.
The story tonight, as always, comes from the private file. It's headed, The Moon and a Million. To say the man was well-dressed wouldn't be strictly accurate. The word natty would better fit his sartorial elegance. His clothes were as carefully chosen as his accent, and he was faultless right up to the carnation he sported in his buttonhole. I must say I wondered about him at the time, yet his request was ordinary enough.
Your lady fixed the appointment, and I made a point of being on time. In fact, I always make a point of being on time, Mr. Mason.
A praiseworthy trait, Mr. Duke. I beg your pardon?
Duke. No, not a title. My name is Duke, plain Mr. Duke.
Oh, I see. I believe you want us to pick up a car for you.
A small parole van, actually. I'm a little apprehensive at leaving it untended in the country. You see, Mr. Mason, I'm in town on business and can't get over to Colchester myself. The van developed some mechanical fault whilst I was driving it, and so I left it where it was and begged to lift it to the nearest village from a passing motorist. The local mechanic drove out to repair the fault, but he has no one to bring the van back into Colchester.
Colchester, I take it, is where you wish the car delivered.
A van? Yes. I should explain that I'm a printer. The van is full of handbills, and it would be most inconvenient if vandals broke in and scattered them all over the countryside.
Oh, I understand. Do you want the van picked up today, Mr. Duke?
If you can.
We can indeed.
Your man can take the evening train to Colchester, and from there he can walk across the fields to my benighted vehicle. I've drawn a small map. There you are. Now, you see, it's on a cart track. I have some property on the track and was returning from an inspection when the fault occurred. Do you think your man can follow the directions on the map?
Oh, I'm sure he can. You've made it quite clear and precise.
Precision is my speciality, Mr. Mason. I learnt the art of the cartographer in the service of my country. Army, you know.
I see. And where in Colchester shall we deliver the van?
I've written the address down here. My foreman will take it over. His name is Wilson, and he'll sign for the delivery. The Colchester train from London will arrive at 9 to 2, and the walk across the country shouldn't take your man longer than half an hour. Is everything clear?
In a nutshell, Mr. Duke.
Now, payment. In advance, of course.
Well, that's not strictly necessary.
I prefer it that way. I have here the train ticket, return, second class. 10 shillings for a meal on the train. A room is booked at the King's Hotel, and they will furnish him with breakfast. I thought 25 guineas for the service would be adequate.
Quite satisfactory, thank you.
Then that concludes the business. Thank you again, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Duke. Phew. That man has a mind like a machine.
Yes, sir?
Send Cannon in, Miss Fairweather, and tell him to fix an overnight bag. He's off for a jaunt in the country. Having supplied Cannon with all the relative information, I dispatched him to the railway station, where he took up his seat in the train, a little disgruntled that it was only second class. The train rattled on through the early evening, with Cannon alone in his compartment. He remained in solitary possession of the compartment throughout most of the journey, munching morosely on a dry sandwich purchased at one of the frequent stops. And then Cannon brightened considerably. An attractive young woman boarded the train half an hour out of Colchester.
Good evening. Is the seat taken?
No, I'm the sole occupant.
Do you mind?
I'm delighted. Let me help you with your bag.
Oh, it's all right, thanks. It's only an overnight case.
Have a sandwich?
Oh, thanks.
Hard as a brick, I'm afraid. Station buffer.
It's fine.
You going to Colchester?
Yes. You?
Just for the night. My name's Cannon, by the way.
I'm Janet Dale. How do you do?
Oh, we're fine. You work in Colchester?
Not at the moment, but I'm hoping to. As a matter of fact, that's why I took tonight's train. There's an ad in the Gazette and Observer for a lady's companion. It gives the address, so I thought I'd take the bull by the horns and make a personal application tonight.
Well, I wish you luck, but, why a lady's companion? I mean, a young and attractive girl like yourself.
You sound as though all ladies' companions are wizened old spinsters.
Well, aren't they?
Not a bit of it. Anyway, I'm used to it. Housekeeping and so on. I've never worked in an office or anything like that.
Beautiful. And she can cook, too.
Mr. Cannon, that was a very forward remark.
It was intended to be.
You're American, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am. Yankee through and through.
I could tell by your accent.
Not by my forward manner?
That, too, I suppose.
Say, what gives if the old doll has filled the position?
Then I'll have to go home again, won't I?
Tomorrow?
Why, yes. There's no train until tomorrow.
Then you'll spend the night in Colchester. That's great.
I don't quite follow.
Well, I'm down here for one night only. Have to pick up a van and deliver it to Colchester. The guy who employed me booked me into the King's Hotel, do you know it?
Yes, it's a commercial hotel.
I'll bet it is. The old skinflint booked me into this crummy railroad car with half a note for spending money.
Half a note?
10 bob, you know? Well, I thought you might show me the town. That's if the old doll has found a dried-up spinster.
Mr. Cannon, you're incorrigible. And a snob. I'm traveling second class, too. And for the very good reason that I can't afford to go first.
Well, I stand humbled, ma'am. Can I make it up to you with a decent dinner in Colchester?
All right.
If you don't get the job.
If I do get the job, we celebrate. And if I don't, you console me.
And I'm very good at consoling.
I bet you... What was that?
Oh, fog signal, I guess.
But there is no fog.
Well, they use them to warn a locomotive that there's something on the line ahead. We're slowing down.
Dear, I hope there's not going to be a delay.
Well, I could think of nothing better.
What about my job?
Oh, you can come and keep house for me.
Is that a proposal or an improper suggestion?
You know you're cute. I find I like you very much.
You stopped.
Yeah, so I noticed. Want me to go outside and see what's cooking?
Let's both go out. It was just my luck to miss a good job through the British Railways.
Say, but... Hey, who are you?
Sit where you are and don't get off the train. This is a hold-up.
You don't say. Well, put that gun away, cowboy, or I might bend it round your ear.
I warn you that I'll shoot the lady if you so much as bat an eye.
Who are you?
Oh, no, Mr. Cannon.
You scared of this floppy-head hobo?
I think he means what he says.
That's very sensible.
Oh, hold up in England with guns. This sort of thing only happens in America. This is a civilized country.
Oh, thanks for nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Sure. Say, what are you taking off the train, buddy?
You'll read about it in the morning papers.
Oh, publicity he's after.
That's the sign. Stay here for 2 minutes, and then you can go outside.
So, it wasn't the fog signal.
That dirty louse.
Oh, look, Mr. Cannon, what's the point of getting yourself shot?
I could break that monkey in two.
I know you could. But what about my dinner?
Okay, you win.
Does that mean we're moving off again?
Well, let's go see. Fish Face is gone by now. This was carefully planned. Hey, you, guard. What gives here? Guard.
Never seen anything like it in all my born days here. Honest, I haven't. Held up the train, they did, with guns. Poor old Harry Pethy tried to stop them on the fireplate and got bashed over the head for his trouble.
Dear, is he all right?
Well, his old mother always said he had a head like a Swede.
Tell me,
lucky in the end.
mister, what did they swipe from the train?
Oh, can't tell for sure until the police get here.
You mean we've got to wait for the police?
Of course, it can't move till they get here. All the evidence, you know.
Oh, but the police might take hours.
Oh, not so long as that, miss. But the train won't move until they get here.
Oh, well, then goes my chance of a job.
Oh, that's tough, Janet. No, honest, I mean it.
Never mind. There'll be others.
Hey, wait a minute. Well, like I told you, I have to pick up a panel van and deliver it to Colchester. The guy who owns it broke down somewhere around here and had to hitch a lift. The van's fixed, and I'm supposed to do a cross-country hike to collect it. Just a minute. Here, map, you see? And the guy who drew it sure knew his stuff. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we should be, Here. See?
Oh, I'm afraid I don't understand maps, Mr. Cannon.
Look, drop the mister, will you, Ken?
Oh, but I don't know your other name.
Just Cannon. Everybody calls me Cannon. Now, looking at this map, we've stopped across country from where that van was ditched. Yeah, it figures. If we head in that direction, we'll come to the van.
But there isn't any road out that way.
Yeah, I know, but according to the map, on the other side of these fields is a cart track. That's what it is. So what are we waiting for? We can still get you into town on time to interview old Sourpuss, okay?
Like you said, Cannon. What are we waiting for?
Happy in each other's company, they began their march across the fields. A big yellow moon winked at them from behind scudding clouds, and the fields smelt fresh and damp from the early dew. Cannon had already forgotten about the train robbery. In fact, Cannon had forgotten about everything.
Penny for your thoughts.
You,
Cannon, are dreaming.
That's right. And what a dream. A daydream under a moon. Say, would you mind if I kissed you?
The man in the moon might be looking.
Well, it's nothing he hasn't seen 1,000,000 times before.
1,000,000 times?
We'll make it 1,000,000,000.
First time for me.
You know, I think I see a frown of disapproval on the face of that man in the moon.
And perhaps we'd better make him smile again.
Okay. Oh, that moon man works magic.
Work? Oh, my hat, Cannon. Mrs. Prendergast.
Is that the old dragon's name?
Oh, please, Cannon, let's find the car. I don't want to be late.
Prendergast. The Witch of Endor. Okay, let's go.
Don't be mad at me. It's a good job, and I need it.
Sure thing, and the night is young. Well, comparatively. Hey, hang on. Let's take another look at the map while we're walking. Here we are. Now, the cart track should be on the other side of this hedge if it's accurate.
There's a stile over there.
Well, I'll lift you over.
Styles are made to climb over.
I'll still lift you over. Hold it. Okay. Up you go. There.
Oh, Cannon,
Yeah, I know. The Dowager. Here we go. Yeah.
There are tire marks on the track. He said...
Well, the mechanic drove out to fix the van. Now all we've got to do is follow the tracks to fame and fortune.
And started at the touch of a button, and Cannon drove happily down the road to Colchester. Dropping off Janet, he made an assignation with her for an hour later in the King's Hotel lobby. My star operator was enjoying himself hugely and whistled happily as he drove the van into a small printer's yard situated on the west side of the town.
Oh, you managed to find the van? Well done.
Thanks. Are you, Wilson?
That's me. Come on into the office.
Thanks. I'm Cannon. Assignments unlimited.
Yes, so the Duke said.
The Duke?
The fellow who employed you.
Oh, Mr. Duke. Well, the van's delivered, and if I could have your signature...
Yes, not that it's going to help me much. Look over there on that machine.
Blood?
That's right.
What happened?
An accident. Let me explain. You see, we're short-staffed. Can't get anyone to work on the pay the Duke dishes out.
Yeah, I know. I came up second class.
And so the transport bloke, Sampson, had to fill in on an urgent orders of pamphlets. Got his hand caught in the stamp mill. Now I'm minus a driver who's worked here for years and still no operator. Not only that, but I haven't got anyone to work the mill. Wilson?
Wilson, I hear you've had an accident in the plant.
Yes, Duke. Sampson got his hand caught in the stamp mill.
What about a driver to take their van to Manchester?
I don't know. I can't conjure drivers out of an act, and it's past 9 already.
There's a man arriving with the van, a Londoner.
He's here. Just arrived. And he's not a Londoner, he's a Yank.
Excellent, excellent. Put him on the line.
All right. It's the Duke. He wants to talk to you.
Yeah, I heard that phone's pretty loud. You ought to get it turned down. Thanks. Hello, Mr. Duke?
Yes. Look, what's your name?
Cannon.
Cannon. My driver's been hurt in an accident. I must have those handbills in the van delivered to Manchester urgently. You'll have to take them there. I'll pay all expenses and, £20 on top.
Well, you'll have to ring the office, Grosvenor 5995.
I know the number. I engaged you through the office. I'll ring Mr. Mason now. I'm sure there'll be no difficulty. Now listen carefully. You take the van to number 184 Salter Street. It's West Central. If you start now, you can get there by first light.
Come again?
First light. It's an army term. Dawn. You'll be paid there for your expenses, and I'll arrange to have the money for the work paid into your office.
Well, the boss must give the okay. He won't be in the office at this hour.
I know that. I have his private number. Have Wilson fill up the van for the journey and check the tires. Now, those handbills must be in Manchester first thing in the morning.
All right, Mr. Duke, but I'll have to check with the chief first.
I'll ring him now. Check with your employer in 15 minutes' time. Understood?
Okay, Mr. Duke.
Goodbye.
What did he say?
As if you couldn't hear. That phone makes more noise than a tannoy system. Oh, heck.
So what are you grousing about? All expenses paid and a fat fee for a night's drive.
Yeah, that's unlike Mr. Duke.
Well, he can pay when he must. All right, I'll get the van checked up, and you can hop down to the local for a pint.
Tell me, where's the King's Hotel?
Oh, up Nesbitt Street. Go out the door and turn right. Carry on for half a mile, and you'll see it up on the left corner.
Thanks.
You, know someone at the King's?
Yeah, baby doll.
What are you looking so unhappy about?
I'm about to ruin her evening for the third time. Mr. Efficiency, in shape of Mr. Duke, has an awful habit of ruining anything I get my teeth into.
Yes, the Duke's efficient. No one like it.
Yeah, say that again. We're just lucky he's on this side of the Iron Curtain. I took the call from Mr. Duke at my club and agreed to the new assignment. Cannon rang from the King's Hotel to check and sounded distressed at my decision. Naturally, I had no possible conception of the reason for his sudden volte-face. He left the phone booth and at once spotted Janet sitting alone in a corner of the lounge. Hi.
Hello, Cannon. Did you deliver your van all right?
I did. That was London I just rang, the big city. Mission completed, and, Another one to start right away.
Then why the depression? You'll be earning more money.
But not in Colchester and not tonight.
Well, I've got good news, too, of a sort.
You mean you got hooked by that Prendergast dame?
No, the position was filled.
Oh, so what are you so happy about?
Well, it appears she has an aunt in Manchester who is looking for someone. She hasn't advertised yet, so I'm sure to get the job.
In Manchester?
Oh, I know it rains a lot, but housekeeping is all done in the house. Oh, come on, cheer up. We can have the date later. You promised, and then tomorrow we can travel to London together. I have to take the London train to get my Manchester connection.
Janet, I got news for you.
What is it, Canon?
In approximately 15 minutes from now, I'm going to drive a panel van out of this town. We can't have dinner in the King's Hotel.
Oh.
In fact, I have to cancel my booking.
Oh, Canon, I'm very disappointed.
No, you won't be. You know where I'm driving that van?
London?
Better than that.
Not Manchester.
That's right.
Oh, Canon, it's impossible. I couldn't have that much good luck.
Baby, that's who the man in the moon is married to, Lady Luck. Now, let's play it off the cuff. Order me a drink, scotch on the rocks. I'll ring the printer here in Colchester and tell him I'm ready, willing, and able.
We'll see that he fills up the van properly. It would be most improper if we ran out of petrol on the way. Have you got the number?
I'll look it up in the book. Now, make that drink good, honey. No moonshine, huh? Hello, operator. I want to talk to a Mrs. Prendergast. Yep, Prendergast. Prendergast. She's in the Colchester area. I haven't got a book. Yeah, I know it's a public booth, but somebody took the book. Will you check for me? Thanks. It was just one of those things. Hello? Yeah. You sure? Okay, thanks. Let's see. 4, 8, 3, 6. Oh, come on. Hello? Wilson, look, I'll be around in 10-15 minutes, okay? Yeah, right. Oh, and by the way, I'm taking that baby doll with me. No objection, I suppose. Great. Look, not to worry. Old Skinflint won't know from me. See ya. Now, then, let's see. Hello, operator. What? Yeah, that's right. It's me again. No, I know the number this time. I want a trunk call to London. I want Grosvenor 5995.
Oh, Canon. Oh, I feel so happy.
Me too. This has been the greatest day of my life. Fulfillment, that's the thing.
Oh, what's that up ahead?
Looks like a roadblock. Police.
What can it be for, I wonder?
Train robbery, maybe.
Oh, yes. Well, luckily we've nothing to hide.
That's right, only a load of handbills for Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Cannon, sir?
Yeah, that's me.
Is this the girl?
That's she.
Canon, what is it?
The game's up, baby doll. All right, officer, the loot's in the back of the van.
The super will be along in a moment, sir. He wants to thank you, personally. All right, my girl. Come along with me.
But Canon, who are you?
Just who I profess to be, an operator from Assignments Unlimited.
Oh, how did you know?
Old Bee's Pants Duke was a bit too efficient. That and the fact that the arm of coincidence can never grow as long as the arm of the law. You played ducks and drakes with me, doll, and nearly got away with it. Remember, you said, first time for me. Well, that was no first kiss. I'll bet that old man's looked down on $1 million.
Yes, it was a cleverly planned robbery right down to the last detail. Well, almost the last detail. The money stolen from the train was loaded into a private car and driven to where Duke's van was parked. There it was transferred. Janet Dale boarded the train to keep an eye on my operator and make sure he didn't take, well, a look at the contents of the van. But she switched her plans once too often. Cannon's suspicions had already been aroused by that kiss under the moon. That was no first time. It had been perfected by years of practice. When she sprang her Manchester story, her goose was cooked. But it was the driver who mangled his hand on the printing works who posed the big question mark. Why should Duke employ an outsider when he had a driver of his own right on the spot? For one very good reason. The driver was a paid member of Duke's gang. If he'd been stopped by the police whilst ferrying the loot to Manchester, his guilt would almost certainly have given the game away. Cannon, on the other hand, was supposed to have, known nothing about it. He would have said he was carrying a consignment of handbills, and his sincerity would have been convincing enough. Luckily, he did tumble to Duke's game, and mainly because of a kiss that wasn't a first kiss. And after all, Cannon should know.
I urgently require 2 guards for a small freighter that will dock at the E-berth just south of Limehouse Pier. There's a confidential cargo aboard, so I want someone reliable.
Oh, we can arrange that.
Everything has been done to assure security for the cargo, but one never knows. It might be wise if you pick 2 of your most capable men. They should know how to handle themselves.
I have just the 2 men for you.
I'll send a car to pick them up. You can contact them through the customs at the East India dock and send your account to me at Max Evans Shippers.
I'll do that, Mr. Eden.
What's your address, by the way, Mr. Mason?
33 Half Moon Street. I called my story tonight, Confidential Cargo. Max Eben required 2 men who, as he put it, could handle themselves. I put Cannon and Carson on the job. They'd always worked well together in the past, and guarding a precious cargo on board a freighter in the East India dock would be a simple task for them. The car from Mr. Max Eben Shippers arrived, and Cannon and Carson duly reached their appointed destination.
Hold it, mates. You don't go no further.
We're the ship's guard. Are you Smith?
That's me. Got any papers?
Right here. This is Crash Carson.
All right, mates. Come aboard the good ship Gascony and make yourselves at home. You, Cannon, you've got the port side berth forward, and you're on the starboard side right opposite Carson.
Who else on board, Smith?
Call me Smudge. Even the skipper does.
All right, Smudge.
Yes, well, now, there's me and old Curly Kleinman. You'll meet him, and 2 Lascar firemen who ain't allowed ashore. Right then, if you follow me, I'll show you to your bunks. Right, there we are. You'll have to look after yourselves. All the crew's paid off except Curly Kleinman and me.
You know, Cannon, these cabins are so close to each other, I'll be able to hear you snore.
I never snore, and I have it on the best authority.
Won't get much time for snoring aboard the Gascony, mates. You'll have to stay and watch turn and turn about all through the day and night.
That's the point. What are we supposed to be guarding?
Oh, the ship. What do you think?
The whole ship?
What about you and this Curly Kleinman chap?
Oh, we have to stand by for the old man in case he wants us ashore. But don't sweat, shipmates. All you do is to patrol the taffrail and see no one comes up the gangway. She's stood out from the berth, so no one can sneak up on you like.
Is there a ship-to-shore phone here?
Cut off. Didn't I tell you? This is a security job.
No kidding. So if we get boarded by pirates, we've got no way of letting anybody know.
Pirates? Oh, I see, yeah, a joke. You won't have no trouble, me hearties. And the Smudge knows men when he sees them. I reckon you 2 can guard this here ship better than a regiment of Marines.
Well, it's nice to know someone's got confidence in us.
Well, I'll be getting along. Make yourself comfortable.
Uh-huh.
You take over in half an hour. That's at 4 bells.
4 bells. Who rings the bells?
How would I know? Let's go look at the cabins.
All right.
I wonder what this security cargo is.
Oh, please. The ship comes from the China Sea, hasn't it?
The cargo's a present from Mao Zedong to Her Majesty. An atom bomb with a time fuse.
I wonder how she'll thank him for that.
Mao? Easy. She'll return it with a note saying, "No thanks, me old China."
You know, I've always had a wish that I could understand your language. Well, shall we inspect the good ship Gascony?
Right on time.
Who rang those bells?
Kelly Kleinman, my guess.
Or one of the Lascars?
No, they have to stay on the stern. The bell's on the bridge.
I just thought of a way we can find out.
Go to the bridge?
Genius.
$50 is Kelly Kleinman.
Done. I bet it's Alaska.
Hey, what was that?
Trap door. See in the corner. As we came onto the bridge, somebody did a disappearing act down the trap door.
Kelly Kleinman or Alaska, I wonder?
No, the smudge said old Curly Kleinman, and I never met a seafaring Lascar who used French perfume.
Well, you've got sensitive nostrils.
Nostalgic is a better word. Now, how do you suppose we find out who went through that trap door?
Open it.
You know, Carson, you get better every day.
Thank you.
No. No, it's locked from underneath. French perfume. The smudge?
No.
The Lascar?
No.
Curly Kleinman.
Hey, what you do up there?
No.
Crash Carson, we have a mystery on our hands.
Can't you hear me, or are you deaf?
We're ahead, Curly. We'll be right down.
You are 2 new men.
That's right. You must be Curly Kleinman.
How do you know my name?
Well, Smudge told us there was only one other person aboard apart from the 2 Lascars. He said the other one was called Curly Kleinman, and since you don't have a hair on your head, I figured you must be Curly.
You sound like a smart boy, but don't get too smart. This ship's got a valuable cargo. You're paid to guard it, not to go nosing around the bridge. Didn't the Smudge tell you to patrol the rail and watch the gangway?
Right.
Well, why don't you do what you're paid to do, then?
We, friend, have been admonished.
You're smart, eh?
No, I'm Carson.
Funny boy. Well, you watch your step.
We will, all the way around the taffrail.
I'm in the well next to the girl if you want me. Don't let anybody come aboard, understand? No one at all.
Not even the skipper?
Funny man.
I'm in the wrong profession. I should be resident comedian at the Palladium.
Curly?
Yeah?
Since we're responsible for the whole ship, we'd like to know who's on board at the moment.
Didn't this much tell you? Me, him, and the 2 Lascars.
Nobody else, huh?
Of course no one else. What do you think? Now get about your business, or I'll call up the skipper and have you fired.
Crash, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah, you can't call up the skipper because the phone's cut off. That's what the Smudge said. And if there's only 6 of us on board this floating coffin, then the Lascars must use scent. Hang on. Yeah, right down the well deck. 2 Lascars. An odor. A delicate odor. No. French perfume?
Unquestionably, no. Well, watch on, watch off, Smudge said, so I propose that you take the first turn around the deck whilst I mosey along to the cabin quarters underneath the deck house and see what I can see.
Cannon, perhaps Kelly Kleinman's right. Perhaps we shouldn't poke our noses into what doesn't concern us. If there is someone else on board, so what? They might not want us to know about it.
No, sir. We've been paid to watch this ship. If it has a stowaway, then it's up to us to find out about it.
All right, Captain Bligh, I'm no threat to Christian. Just keep out of trouble, that's all.
Oh, you can rely on me. Now, you keep an eye on those Lascars and watch out for the Smudge. As far as I know, he didn't go ashore.
You're the one who better keep your eyes peeled. I have a nasty feeling that if old Curly Kleinman finds out you've been rummaging about below decks, he'll whip us off this floating crate so fast we'll feel like we've been keel-hauled.
I'll tread very softly, friend.
You do then.
Sure. Now, just along here, at the end of this gangway, I guess. It could be the captain's cabin right under the wheelhouse. Yep, it's an Oriental-built ship, that's for certain. Even has carvings on the old woodwork. I guess Lloyd's wouldn't insure this one. There it is again. No mistaking it. And this cabin, the way I figure. And now's my chance to try the door handle. Empty. But the trapdoor is open. I found it. Hi.
Who are you? How did you get in here?
Cannon's the name, and I got in through the door.
What are you doing here?
You know, that's just the question I was going to ask you.
Are you from the police?
No.
Then...
No, take it easy, ma'am. Take it easy. I didn't mean to frighten you. I'm the official guard on this ship. I wasn't told about your presence here. In fact, I go so far as to guess that you oughtn't to be here anyway.
I see.
Now, suppose you tell me about it, huh?
What is there to tell?
Well, if you'd rather tell it to Curly Kleinman...
Oh, no.
You know Curly Kleinman?
I know only Mr. Smith. It was he who helped me.
The smudge? Helped you do what?
Please, no one must know of my presence on board this ship.
Look, I'm afraid I can't help you there, ma'am. I have a responsibility. If you shouldn't be on board, then I'll have to report your presence to the proper authority.
Oh, no, please, not that.
Well, come to think of it, that did sound like a recorder playing red tape. So, sit down, relax.
But won't you be missed?
No, my second half is patrolling the deck at this minute. As I figure it, this is the captain's cabin, right?
Yes.
And you rang that ship's bell just now, right?
Yes. Mr. Smith asked me to. He's busy below.
And he didn't want Curly Kleinman to know what he's busy with. I get it. It's the smudge who's supposed to ring the ship's bell, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Look, you better open up your heart, ma'am, or I'm going to open up that door and shout for Curly.
All right. I'll tell you what you want to know.
That's my girl.
But first, how did you know I was here?
That French perfume. It's very expensive and to a lonely man, very alluring. I'm a watchdog, and I followed the scent.
You are very observant.
And you're very beautiful. Okay, make with the explanation.
I'm a stowaway.
Who are you and where you're from?
My name is Valdemar Yendi. I'm half Russian. I was stranded in Taipei, in North Formosa, without money and with no passport. The ship was cruising in the China Sea and called at Taipei. Mr. Smith was ashore and I met him. He offered to help smuggle me to England.
In the captain's cabin?
I have used the cabin only since we docked. Mr. Smith is taking me ashore tonight.
And where did you hole up during the voyage?
In a spare cabin in the forepart of the ship.
A spare cabin? And nobody saw you on the whole voyage from the China Sea?
I see you know nothing of this ship, the Gascony. She is not seaworthy, but she was built many years ago on the slips at Amoy. The skipper hardly left his cabin the whole voyage. Most of the time he lay on his bunk with a bottle. All the crew were recruited from the waterfronts of the East. Mr. Smith and Mr. Kleinman are the only two white men aboard, apart from the skipper.
I get it. And what cargo is she carrying?
Tallow.
Tallow? I got news for you, man. This cargo's embargoed as top secret.
Oh, but that's impossible. What could be secret about tallow?
I don't know. Or maybe I'll never find out. But I'll get to know you a little better in the coming few days. Life gets lonely on board an empty ship.
On board? But Mr. Smith is taking me ashore tonight.
Correction. Mr. Smith was taking you ashore tonight. But my orders are to allow nobody on board except the Smudge, Kleinman, and two Lascars. Since you're here anyway, you stay on board. So you see, the position's reversed for you. I can't make contact with the shore. So here you are, and here you stay until I get an instruction to the contrary from Mr. Max Aben, the guy who employs me.
But what purpose can be served by keeping me here?
And for all I know, Valdemar Yendi, you might be the precious cargo.
Warning the beautiful Valdemar Yendi not to attempt to jump ship, Cannon went in search of Smith, the old Cockney seaman, known as the Smudge. But to all intents and purposes, the ship was deserted. Only the two Lascars sat sunning themselves on the well deck. Carson was leaning on the rail, wondering what had happened to his relief.
So there you are.
Where have you been? I've been gazing out over the placid waters of Limehouse Beach.
Crash, I found her.
Oh?
The doll, the baby with the French perfume.
You did?
She says she's a stowaway and she's holed up in the captain's cabin.
I told you we were in the wrong profession.
You know, Crash, there's something screwy about it all. She claims to be a stowaway and says the smudge helped her out, all the way from Taipei in Formosa.
Uh-huh.
According to her, nobody knows she's aboard except Smudge. Even that dried-out old fig Kleinman doesn't know. But I don't get it. I mean, Kleinman's bound to find her sooner or later.
It'll have to be later. He just went ashore in a dinghy.
He... ashore in a dinghy?
That's right, completely solo.
Well, Valda says the cargo's tallow.
Valda?
Yeah, that's the broad's name in the captain's cabin, Valda Mayendi. She's half Russian.
What's the other half?
I don't know, but it's sure mixed together well. One thing's certain. Whatever the smudge says, she doesn't go ashore until we've had a word with Max Aben, the owner.
Well, suits me. Now, what say you stand a watch in the gangway, and I'll relieve you keeping a fatherly eye on the homeless Russian.
You spoke too soon. You say...
No, wait a minute.
Watch the gangway. Where are you?
Here, by the galley.
Holy smoke. The smudge. What happened?
I came along to make tea. I found him lying there. He's dead.
Are you kidding? His throat slit from ear to ear. Crash!
Yes?
Where are the Lascars?
Still sitting in the sun. Haven't moved till afternoon. What's wrong?
Friday, you stay there. Did you touch him?
No.
Now, look. You better tell me and tell me straight. Who else is holding out on this tub?
I don't understand.
All right, then understand this. The smudge is being murdered. I don't know what they do about this in Formosa, but here in England, somebody's going for the high jump. And right now, that somebody looks awfully like you.
You don't think I did it?
Well, it wasn't me. And Carson's been watching the gangway. And the Lascars. So if there isn't another mystery traveler on this ship, things don't look so good.
I swear it wasn't me. It's only 5 minutes since you left me in the cabin.
Look, it takes only 1 second to slit a man's throat. Oh, wait a minute. The blood. It's soaked into the deck timber.
Yes.
Kleinman. What do you know about Kleinman, baby?
Nothing, except that he was the ship's purser.
Looks like he kept a tight rein on the purse strings. Well, I've got to go ashore and get the police.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. This is murder, baby, in the first degree.
But they will send me back.
That's too bad.
You have no idea what it's like there.
Look, I've no idea what it's like where the smudge has gone either. But that won't stop me getting the police. You get back in your cabin and stay there.
Oh, what's the matter with her? What's all the screaming about?
The smudge. Somebody played guillotine on him with a razor.
Oh, dead?
Yeah, as dead as this assignment when Max Aben finds out. Tell me, when did Curly Kleinman leave?
About half an hour ago.
Uh-huh. Then it must have been Kleinman. Can you hold the ship by yourself?
Of course. With this. There you are. One up the spout.
Okay. I'm going ashore to get the police.
It's a long swim.
Swim? How come?
Kleinman took the only dinghy.
Oh, then I'll swing a lifeboat out of the davits.
Friend, this ship was never insured, that's for certain. I took a look at those lifeboats to pass the time. You wouldn't keep your feet dry for 100 yards.
Are you telling me we're marooned on board this wreck?
Unless you make a raft or set fire to the ship to get rescued.
A raft, that's it. Look, I just want to talk to that dame again, and then you and me are going to play Huckleberry Finn. Stay with it. Oh, so you're still here.
Is there anywhere else to go?
Listen, tell me something. If you were told by the smudge not to leave the cabin, and if you didn't want to be seen by Kleinman, how come you took a chance and went to the galley?
I saw Kleinman leave in a dinghy.
You saw him? But he left from the starboard side.
When I rang the ship's bell from the bridge.
Well, I guess you could have seen him from the wheelhouse at that. Okay, then tell me what part of the cargo the smudge was looking at when I came on the scene. Now, don't say it was the tallow.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Think. He must have said something.
I can't. All I can think of him is lying there, and all my hopes are ruined. The English will send me back to Taipei. I know they will.
Look, there's another thing. How was the smudge going to get you ashore?
At nighttime.
But the river police are the most active at night time.
I don't understand your customs, Mr. Cannon. All I know is he was going to row me ashore to a place he knows. He even gave me a map to follow if something happened and he couldn't come with me.
A map? Let me have a look at that.
But there's no point
I
now.
say, let me have a look. I'll be the judge of that. Give me the map. A row of houses between Nelson Dock and Cuckoo's Point. Well, this house hangs out over the river, built on piles. And the steps lead up to a trapdoor that opens into the house. Now, the Nelson Dock. That's right across the river.
Is it?
Okay, Valda. Did Kleinman know about this map?
He might know of the trapdoor. Mr. Smith and he were great friends.
How friendly can you get with a guy? Now, listen, we're building a raft. Curly took the last boat out. Tonight, I'm going ashore for the police. If a boat passes near enough to us in the meantime, we'll call for help. If not, I'll row ashore on the raft. You coming with me?
Ashore?
Now, don't get any wrong ideas, baby. You'll have to report to the police. But Crash Carson will be alone here guarding the gangway with two Lascars doing I do not know what. If you get scared, he might be tempted to leave his post. And I can't take that chance. So you stay put, baby, because that seems to be the best way of staying alive. Hey, now quit clutching that suitcase and give me a hand here.
It contains everything I own in the world.
Look, don't worry. If the police clear you, look me up. Hold this map. Yeah, that's the house, all right. The gloomy one. I don't see any lights. Don't see any river police either. Oh, well, maybe that's just as well. A guy in a dhow paddling a raft through the night across the Thames River might give them the wrong idea.
You think they might shoot us?
I don't know. I guess not. After all, this isn't the lagoon across from Alcatraz. Yep, that's the house, all right. Now sit tight, baby, because I'm going to try and steer under the house and tie up by the ladder. Here we go. Got it. Now pass me the rope.
Here.
Thanks. Okay, all tied up. Now, let's see what's on the other side of that trapdoor. And this time it won't be a ship's bell. Yeah, take it easy. The ladder's slippery from sealing.
I'm all right.
Hold it. The trapdoor's here. See if I can get it open. Yeah. Got it. Okay, hand me the flashlight, Valda.
Hold him, you fool. If he slips back, you'll knock Valda into the river.
I got him, but he's heavy. You must give me a hand.
Okay, got him. Together. Now. You next, Valda.
Shall I make sure he makes?
No, leave him, Curly. He won't wake up for a long time. Put the light on, Valda. The switch is in the corner. A tough customer. I hope you didn't hit him too hard, Curly.
Well, if I had my way, I'd finish him off.
What for? He didn't see me?
But he's seen me here on the ship.
As long as he didn't see you here, they can prove nothing. Anyway, one killing is enough for one day. The suitcase, Valda. Now, Curly, let's have a look at our confidential cargo. This contains nothing but clothing.
Just a minute.
Valda, where did you get that gun?
In the captain's cabin. He must have feared for his life at sea. And I cannot say I blame him.
What are you doing?
If you move an inch, I'll kill you both. You planned it too well, Max. And if it hadn't been for him on the floor, I might have well exchanged a Chinese prison for an English hangman's rope.
The suitcase that Valda Mayandi carried should have contained contraband, but she left the valuable parcel aboard the ship. It was Cannon's interrogation of her that made her see through Max Avon's plan. He picked her up in Taipei and put her on board his own ship before flying back to England. Smith was his confidant, but didn't know the reason. Curly Kleinman didn't see her on board for the simple reason he knew she was there and never looked. Smith had to be eliminated, and so had she. Once she'd brought the contraband safely ashore, Max and Kleinman would have abandoned her. There was ample evidence aboard that she'd been present on the voyage, and penniless and homeless in a strange country, well, the police would quickly have picked her up and charged her with the murder of Smudge Smith. A murder committed by Kleinman. Certainly no one would have believed her story about contraband. It was the perfume that put Cannon on the scent. He described it to me so well that, well, I was sure I could smell it the last time I visited his flat. Imagination can play funny tricks sometimes. Yes, but on second thoughts, I wonder if it was imagination. Oh, well, you now know why we call the story Confidential Cargo.
Happy about this consignment of animals from South Africa.
You're worried because they're so valuable?
I think it might be a good idea to have an extra security guard on them. Look, be a good fellow and organize it for me. There's an outfit called Assignments Unlimited. Ring them at Grosvenor 5995 and make an appointment. They're in the West End, 33 Half Moon Street.
It's a sad admission to make, but I find little that's kindred in the affairs of my clients. Mervyn Levers, however, was an exception. A professor of zoology, he had a fantastic knowledge of all creatures big and small, gentle and savage, attractive and ugly. He knew their habits, whether they crawled, leapt, ran, swam, or wriggled. However, to begin at the beginning, Mervyn Levers entered my office with a simple request for an escort.
There's an International Zoological Society, of course, usually headed by someone from South Africa. They're right in front with animal conservation and have one of the world's finest zoos at Pretoria. Most of the time we try to swap animals for our various zoos, but every now and again a purchase has to be made. I hope I'm not boring you, Mr. Mason.
I've really been so absorbed in a client's conversation, Mr. Levers. But tell me, this consignment that you're expecting, are these animals swaps or are they purchases?
Both, actually. Oddly enough, we're not concerned with those we've purchased. Oh, they're bought with public money, of course, and so we naturally do everything we can to ensure their well-being and safety. But the animal that comes as a gift from South Africa is far more valuable. Up to now, only the Pretoria Zoo in South Africa has had a specimen of this buck. A grey rebuck. It's indigenous to South Africa, but extremely rare. The grey rebuck has bred, and the curator of their zoo has graciously consented to let us have one. Its mate will follow in due course.
Fascinating. And you want a guard on the animals until they reach their destination. That right?
Oh, yes, please. I've been instructed by Sir Timothy Wetheram to obtain the services of your organization, if that's possible.
Oh, it is indeed. To what zoo are they consigned?
The London Zoo, until they've been quarantined. And then they're going to Whitstade.
All right, Mr. Levers. Or should I call you Professor?
Mr. will do fine.
Well, if you'll pardon my saying so, you're a little young to be a professor.
Yes, I suppose I am, really. Perhaps that's why I prefer the Mr.
I must say I found our talk most interesting. When does the ship dock?
Millwall dock at 7 a.m. tomorrow. The animals will all be crated and ready for loading onto the lorry. I thought 2 men.
Right.
They'll have to be something of a schizophrenic. The men should be tough, as guards usually are, but at the same time, gentle with the animals.
Well, if you like, I can send 1 male and 1 female guard.
A woman guard?
Yes. Oh, don't worry. This girl is gentle as a woman is gentle, but in the event of trouble, she's a terror.
Oh, sounds remarkable. I'd like to meet her.
You will. I'll have her leave with the male operator. Cannon is his name, by the way. The girl is called Gail Hamilton.
Right. Well, look, I must be on my way. Thanks for everything, Mr. Mason.
It's been a pleasure. And that was all I ever saw of Professor Lavers. The animals were loaded onto the truck, and Cannon drove out onto the road towards the London Zoo. He, Gale, and Professor Lavers were all crammed into the front seat. The day was hot and sultry.
Yours must be an interesting occupation, Professor.
Yes, it is. But then so's yours. Never met a girl guard before.
Well, she's a girl guard because she's too long in the tooth to be a girl guide.
Ignore him, Professor. He's from the Midwest in the States. They reared him on corn. Tell me something about the animals.
Yes, I will, but you must stop calling me Professor. When you say it, it makes me feel 90. Now, just call me
Hey.
What is it, Professor? Cannon?
Yeah?
Pull him to the side quickly. I think he's having a heart attack.
Okay.
Hurry now. Help me to get him onto the pavement. Throw that coat out that's hanging over the seat.
Okay. Come on. All right. Put him down on the pavement. There. Now take a look at him.
He's dead.
Dead? But can't you revive him?
Oh, it's hopeless. Cannon, how terrible.
But, well, what is it? Was it his heart?
Must have been. But to go so quickly, he must have been suffering from a heart condition for a long time. And yet,
Yeah?
he doesn't look like a heart case. He's coloring. Look, I'll stay with him. You go and ring for an ambulance.
Okay.
Yes, look, there's a booth across the road. Hurry. We'll have a crowd of morbid spectators here in a minute.
I'm on my way. Had an accident?
Serious one, I'm afraid. Heart attack.
Anything I can do. Hey, that's Mervyn Lavers. Good gracious.
Do you know him?
Well, of course I do. He's with me at the Zoological Gardens.
Oh, that's where we were taking the animals in the truck.
Is he all right?
I'm afraid not.
He's not dead?
Yes, he is.
Mervyn. Oh. This is something of a shock to me, Miss...
Hamilton, Gail Hamilton.
Was Mervyn driving the lorry?
No, one of our men, Cannon. He's gone to phone for an ambulance.
The animals.
Well, what about them?
Well, I hadn't introduced myself. Professor Mark Tobin. I'm assistant curator of the London Zoo.
Oh, I see. You're worried about the animals?
Well, it seems unimportant at the moment, I know, but one of those animals is a gift from the South African Zoological Society. It's extremely rare.
Oh, the grey rebuck.
You know about it?
Yes, Professor Lavers told me before he collapsed.
Then you know it's important that the animal is not lost.
Lost?
Well, that it doesn't die.
Oh. Well, it looks healthy enough.
Appearances with wildlife are often deceptive, Miss Hamilton. The animal is accustomed to the warmth of Africa. If it caught a chill, it might easily die. And I think you know what that would mean.
Yes, of course. But it's not exactly a cold day, is it? I mean, it's a sticky August day.
It's not at all like Africa, Miss Hamilton. Poor Mervyn. What a ghastly trick of fate. It was his ambition to see that grey rebuck in an English zoo.
Do you really think something might happen to it?
Yes. Where's the man you spoke of, the driver?
In the telephone kiosk.
No, well, look, supposing I stay with Mervyn and you continue on to the zoo with the animals.
Oh, I can't do that, Professor Tobin. I'm a qualified nurse and I must stay with him.
Well, look, here are the keys to my car. Let me take the truck out of the zoo, and when you've got poor Mervyn away in the ambulance, you can drive on to join me and collect your truck.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Professor. You're sure it's not too much trouble?
Oh, not a bit of it. Now, here you are. It starts on the key. I'll be there in double-quick time. Oh, dear, they're going to be most upset at the zoo when I tell them what's happened.
Hey, where's he going with the truck?
Don't panic. That was Professor Tobin from the London Zoo. He happened to be passing and stopped. The animals have to be put into their cages or something, so he took them off.
Oh, he's left his car for us. Here are the keys.
Oh.
Yes. Now. Look, Cannon, what a rotten thing to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, thank heavens, here's the ambulance.
Come on, kid. I know how you feel. Let's get on to the zoo.
Do you think I should have gone with them?
Duty first, baby. Let's go get that truck back from the professor. I won't feel happy until I've seen all those animals under lock and key. Why didn't this professor guy wait until I got back from phoning?
He was worried about his charges.
His charges? They were under our care. Come on, hop in.
I can't think why you should be so suspicious. The man left his car. He knew all about the grey Reaver.
I've got a suspicious, nasty nature.
I wish I'd never come on this lousy assignment.
Oh, none in language. Well, I just figured that it was coincidental that he should just happen to be driving by when Lavers had his heart attack.
It's queer, Cannon.
You agree with me? Then why did you...
No, not that. Mervyn Lavers. He didn't look like a heart case, and yet to go so suddenly.
What else could it be? Well, maybe you figured somebody shot him with a poisoned arrow.
Cannon, they're flagging us into the curb.
Hey, what gives?
Get out, my lad, and no funny business. Charlie, there's a girl with him. Better watch her.
What's going on?
As if you didn't know. You're both under arrest.
Arrest? What for?
Driving a stolen vehicle.
Stolen vehicle? Oh, Cannon!
Professor Tobin, doing you a favor.
Oh.
Now look what you've done. We lost a valuable collection of wild animals and got arrested for stealing a car. Enough trouble for one morning? Baby, all that can happen now is the atom bomb.
At the police station, Cannon was able to prove his identity, and ruefully had to admit that he'd been duped by a clever confidence trick. He shouldered the blame, although it was Gail Hamilton's fault. A call to the London Zoo established the fact that no Professor Tobin was known there, and that the animals hadn't arrived. A call was sent out to all police posts to look out for the stolen truck, but it wasn't seen or heard of again. In my office, Sir Timothy Wentron talked to Gail and Cannon.
What I can't understand is poor old Mervyn Lavers going off like that. He'd never had a day's sickness in his life.
Yes, and it's not usual, you know. I mean, for a heart condition to strike so quickly.
Yes, I gather. Well, I'm waiting for the report now. They've done an autopsy. That might tell us something.
Yes? I see, yes. Yes, put him on. The police.
Yeah.
Some information, I expect. Hello? Yes, speaking. Oh, good day to you, Inspector. Yes. Yes, I understand. Yes, of course. Well, it's not really inconvenient. Well, thank you. Goodbye.
News of the autopsy?
Yes. Lavers died as the result of a virulent poison introduced into his body by some means unknown.
Poison?
Yes, apparently it's a nerve poison and kills a man in a matter of seconds.
Great Scott, but how and who?
Well, that's what the police want to know.
He was in that lorry all the way from the docks. How long had you been driving before he collapsed, Miss Hamilton?
Oh, 10 minutes or so.
You didn't stop for anything? Gave no one a lift?
Absolutely nothing.
But the poison, they say, takes a second to act. You and Cannon were the only other people in the lorry with him. It's hard to conceive, but did he take anything, put anything into his mouth?
I told you, Sir Timothy, he was chatting to us. He dropped down right in the middle of a sentence. Why are you looking at me like that?
Gail, the police say that you and Cannon are not to leave the country for any reason whatever. It's pretty obvious that Mervyn Lavers was murdered. Sent Gail and Cannon home and told them to relax as best they could. Gail was stunned by the news, and Cannon, he just looked into the air, his brows knitted in thought. A man had been murdered, and the motive was sticking out a mile: robbery. The theft of an animal of incalculable value. But what use would that animal be to anyone? Why, I retired for the night. I couldn't sleep, and so answered at once when the phone rang by my bedside.
Hello, Chief. Can't sleep, huh?
No, I can't. Now, how did you guess?
Well, you answered the phone so fast. Look, Chief, I figure that Gail and me, we're in a bit of a spot. I rang the cops and said I had a bit of an idea, but they didn't want to talk to me. Gave me the impression that they'd like to go ahead in their own way and that, well, I was one of the suspects.
Well, you can't blame them, Cannon. There's motive, and you were with the poor fellow when he died.
Hey, well, now, wait a minute. You
Oh,
don't
of
think...
course I don't. What would you do with a grey Reebok?
Look, Chief, I want the okay to mosey around a bit. I want to go down to the docks and see if I can't check the passengers on that ship that brought the animals over.
Was it a passenger ship?
Yeah, 10 passengers and cargo. They limit it so that they don't have to carry a ship's doctor.
Why do you want to check the passenger list?
Just a hunch I got.
Oh, it's all right with me, of course.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Try and get some sleep. Night.
Mason.
I couldn't sleep.
Oh, is that you, Gail?
Yes. Your phone was engaged the first time I rang, and I'm disturbing you again. Are you all right?
Well, of course I'm all right. Just tired, that's all.
Where's Cannon? At home?
No, he's gone down to the docks. Has a hunch, he says. Wants to check the passenger list on that ship that brought the animals.
At this time of night?
Well, I suppose he knows what he's doing.
So do I. Sorry again, Chief, to have worried you. Night.
Mild and bitter, please. Say, do you know anybody here from the SS Gozo? She's docked at Millwall.
Yes, there's a couple of the crew over there. Ask that big, fair-haired one. Yes, his name's Billy Johnson. Good fella. Mild and bitter, 2 and a tenner.
2 and a tenner, there you are.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Are you Billy Johnson?
Yes, mate. What can I do for you?
Well, my name's Cannon. I wondered if you might help with some information about a man I'm trying to trace. I think he might have been a passenger on board the Gozo on your last trip. Professor Tobin.
Sorry, mate. No, there was no passenger by that name on the Gozo.
Oh, he might have been traveling under an assumed name.
Well, what does he look like?
Well, that's the point. I didn't really get a good look at him. You see, when I was...
Well, Cannon, I thought I'd find you here, looking up the passenger list, huh?
Gail Hamilton. Well, for once, I'm glad you put your face in where it wasn't wanted.
Well, thank you.
This is Billy Johnson from the animal ship.
How do you do?
He says that there wasn't a passenger by the name of Tobin, but Tobin might have been traveling under an assumed name. Would you describe Tobin to Billy? I only saw him for a second as he drove off in that truck.
What makes you think Tobin might have been a passenger on that ship?
Just a hunch. Now, will you do as I say and describe this guy who hijacked the animals?
Oh, I don't get testy. He's very long and very thin, with thick red lips and beetle brows. His hair's long and heavy, eyes brown, complexion sallow.
Yeah, that's Mr. Edwin Nibbo. What did you say his name was?
It doesn't matter, Billy.
You know this bloke?
I'm getting to know him. Now, where did he board the ship?
Zanzibar. We come up the east coast of Africa from Cape Town.
Zanzibar. Billy, you don't know it, but you just saved my life. Sir Timothy, you might think I've gone nuts, but if you could help with a few answers, it might clear this whole mystery up for us.
For him, Sir Timothy, I don't know a thing that's in his mind.
Anything I can do, Cannon, far away.
Well, I want to know how the Russians fit into the animal picture. I mean, do they have zoos? Do they trade in animals? You know, anything you can tell me.
Well, they have zoos, very good ones. They're on the board of the International Zoological Society and cooperate in wildlife matters as well as anyone else.
Mm-hmm. No difference between them and the Western countries as far as zoos are concerned?
No, not at all.
Tell me, do they have a specimen of this gray Reebok?
No.
Would they be happy to get a gray Reebok as a present?
They'd be delighted, as we were. But, Cannon, if you're suggesting they'd go to the trouble of murdering a British subject in his own country in order to steal a specimen, then you're barking up the wrong tree. It's inconceivable.
It doesn't have to be the Russian officials. They don't have to know about it. If they suddenly got one out of the blue, no questions asked?
I suppose they might be tempted to keep it. It's only natural, but I'm not quite sure.
Now, just a minute, Sir Timothy, if you don't mind. Why didn't the South Africans give a specimen of the Reebok to Russia?
I don't know why. I suppose we're a little closer to them than the Russians. Other than that, I can't offer an explanation.
One last thing. Tell me, how do you ship insects?
Oh, that depends. Glass cases usually, unless the insect is dangerous. There are specimens that are poisonous, you know.
Well, how do you ship them?
The arachnida family are usually kept in individual capsules.
Could you show me one of these capsules, Sir Timothy?
Yes, right here in my drawer. You see, the capsule is just big enough to accommodate one large insect. If the insect is dangerous, we put it in a colored capsule, a black one. Yes, here's an example.
Thanks. What's this capsule made of?
Plastic, a special type of plastic. You see the little hole there? That's so the insects can breathe.
Well, I think I'm homing on beam. Sir Timothy, how can we check what Russian ships are in the vicinity of the British Isles?
Well, there aren't any naval visits. Lloyd's Register will give you the names of any cargo ships in port or arriving in port in the near future. The Russians don't operate passenger services to England.
Any other ships?
Yes, fishing boats. The Department of Fisheries would know about that.
Well, thanks, Sir Timothy. You've been a great help. Gale, come on, let's go. You've got work to do.
Gale Hamilton's various telephone calls established the fact that cargo vessels from Russia were tied up in the Thames, and that a fishing fleet was due off the Scottish coast the following day. Their nearest point on course of steaming would be off Greenock. Cannon made the next call to a newspaper friend who lived in Greenock.
MacIver, am I glad I got you? Look, I've got something hot and urgent.
You sound hot and bothered.
Mac, look, it's only a hunch, but if it comes off, you'll have the biggest newspaper scoop of all time. The animals that were stolen on their way to the London Zoo. Did you read about that?
Aye, of course I did.
Well, I've got a feeling that they may be released in the Greenock area sometime today. Will you put out an alert for people to watch out for strange animals running around?
I will. I'll get working on it right away.
Great, Mac. So long.
Bye.
Cannon.
Cannon, it's Gale.
Oh, hi, Gale.
They've analyzed the poison that killed Mervyn Lavers. You'll never guess what it is.
I already know. Lavers was killed by the bite of a black widow spider.
MacIver's call to the local people around Greenock got fast results. The animals had been let loose, all of them except the grey rebuck. That rare creature in its crate was apprehended in a motor launch with the elusive Mr. Tobin, on its way out to sea to join the Russian fishing fleet. Tobin was a Russian agent and an amateur naturalist in his spare time. He thought to curry favor with the Kremlin by presenting them with a specimen unknown except in South Africa. But, well, let Cannon finish this story.
Lavers died suddenly in the truck. Tobin was following behind in his car. Now, how could Tobin be sure of the time, give or take 5 minutes, when the spider would strike? Well, it was a hot and sultry day, remember? Tobin transferred his spider to a capsule made not of plastic, but of thin wax. He slipped this capsule into Lavers' hat when he was busy with the animals on board ship. In the truck it was hot. The heat of Lavers' body melted the wax and released the spider. I figured that was the only way it could have happened, and I knew I was right when I found out that Tobin traveled on the animal ship with the black capsules.
So now you know why the story was called A Widow in Black.
Is that Grosvenor 5995?
Yes.
Can I speak to the man in charge?
What connection?
Eh?
Why do you wish to speak to him?
The old man's been run over by a lorry.
Are you sure you've got the right number?
Yes. Ain't you Assignments Unlimited?
We are.
That said you've got an assignment. You see, the old man was run over by a lorry, broke both his legs, and when
Just
he
a
come
minute, madam. I think you'd better come round and see us.
All right, then. Where are you?
33 Half Moon Street.
Marge Willis could have stepped out of the first act of My Fair Lady. She crept into the office like a a shrouded field mouse, her nostrils twitching and her bright beady eyes darting hither and thither as though in search of some hidden danger. Drooping millinery adorned her head, flapping despairingly, and appearing to cogitate on better days and grander owners. She sniffed and cleared her throat and rustled her voluminous apparel towards my desk. Appraising me with a critical eye, her mouth split into a marshalled row of gold fillings as she said,
You the gent they calls Aubrey Mason?
I am. And you must be Marge Willis.
Well, it's me old man. He got run over by a lorry.
Well, won't you sit down, Mrs. Willis? It is Mrs. Willis.
To some. Marge is what they calls me. Thanks.
There's no need to dust it, Marge. The cleaners come in every morning.
No. Yes, there wouldn't a posh place like this. Force of habit, I suppose. Oh, that's better. Haven't had me weight off me plates all day.
Plates?
Plates and meat, feet. You ever been in the barra business?
I don't think I'm acquainted with it.
Hawking, flogging from a barra.
No, Mrs. Marge. That's one branch of commerce I haven't yet tried.
Pity. You see, I want to hire a reliable bloke on the barra. Come to think of it, you look a bit of a Charlie hawking greens round Walthamstow. But I was told you could dig up a bloke for any sort of job.
I can do that.
You see, my old man got run over by a lorry...
Marge, before you tell me all about it, I feel I should warn you that Assignments Unlimited is not a labour exchange. We only undertake special jobs, and of course we charge a special fee.
Oh, lolly's no trouble. I'd pay 15 quid a day for the right bloke.
Is the barrow business all that good?
Better if you got the right pitch. And that's the trouble, you see. My old man got run over by a lorry and broke both his legs. Now, he's got pitch 48 on the Walthamstow High Street. And the ticket comes up for taking on again in a week's time, you see. And if the pitch ain't taken on for the whole half year, then any piker can nip in and snitch it. And it's a corner, and you don't get corners anymore. Oh, and if my old man loses his pitch on account of some snitcher, he won't have to give me what for when he comes out of the hospital.
Oh, I think I understand, Marge. You want a substitute for your husband for a week, and you're willing to pay for it because it means you can renew your license if the corner stand is continuously occupied.
Well, that's what I said, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose you did.
Well, have you got a bloke?
Yes, I have, Marge. Where do you want him to report to?
What's he like, this bloke?
Well, let me see. Well, Cannon's doing anything important at the moment.
He ain't a toff like you, is he?
He's an American.
Oh, a Yank, eh? They don't flog off barrows, do they?
No, but this man's lived in London for some time. I think you can quickly show him the ropes.
Can he handle himself? He gets rough on the pitch now and then.
I'm sure he can cope, Marge.
Right. Tell him to come to 27 Needle Street, South Walthamstow, at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and pick up the barrow. I'll have the greens loaded and he can knock me up for the winkles.
Winkles?
Yes. We do winkles and whelks on the side. But you can't keep them in the shed, you know.
Well, where do you keep them, Marge?
Under the bed, out of the way. But I'll show him. You want the lolly now?
No, later will do. I've made a note of the address, and I'll see that he's there at 5 o'clock sharp.
Oh, well, I hope there's no trouble over him being a foreigner. Then there's lots of Yanks about since the war, ain't there? Oh, well, I feel better now. I couldn't afford to lose that corner pitch. You don't know my old man, do you?
I've never had the pleasure of his acquaintance.
Well, I hope your bloke likes the flogging job.
He's always interested in new assignments, Marge. But I'll bet in his wildest dreams he never thought he'd end up being a barrow boy. The following morning at 5 o'clock sharp, complete with cap and muffler, he knocked on the door of 27 Needle Street.
All right, just a minute. Ooh, you're a big one. You for Mr. Mason?
That's right. Cannon's the name. Well, what's so funny?
Oh, the way you talk. You get used to hearing Yanks on the pictures, of course, but when you meet them face to face...
Yeah, well, I got an assignment to collect a pushcart.
Pushcart? That's what they use for nippers. You got a barrow cock, and that's a sight bigger than a pushcart. Come with me.
Don't you want to get changed first?
What, it's 5 o'clock in the morning? I'm good enough in me penny. Here's the shed over there. Now, careful when you go in.
Okay.
Jenny doesn't like her beauty sleep disturbed.
You got somebody living here in this shack?
Jenny.
Dracula's?
Here, don't go calling me donkey-wheeled names. Jenny was a great comfort to me when the old man was doing a sixth on the moor. Well, don't just stand there. Lug out the wheeler.
Look, I got an admission to make, Mrs. Willis.
Marge.
Marge. I've only been in England for a few years. I haven't got a grasp of the language yet.
You get a grasp of that there barra, or you'll hear some right language from me, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah, the barra. Okay. Mrs. Willis, I suppose she went to. It's a sun job. And to think I've got to lug this all the way to the high street. Well, if they talk like Marge, I should improve my knowledge of colloquial English to a degree.
Talking to yourself, Mr. Cannon. Huh? Oh, that's a bad sign. Do you drink?
Well, if you didn't, I got a hunch I'd start right after the day's work's done.
Well, you watch it. Now, let's check the barra. Only cash, see? No pay-laters. The greens are all where you see 'em, and everything's got a price written on. The scale's at the end there, see?
Yeah, I see.
Now, if you find the carrots or the beans ain't going well, you can drop. But you don't change the price of the whelks, even if Sid Lippman next year's selling it half the price. Got it?
Carrots, beans, yeah. No, wait a minute. What's a whelk?
Oh, you don't know what a whelk is? Blimey, I might have known. What do they feed you Yanks on when you're home? A whelk is a thing in a shell. Here, these things, see? They come from the seaside. South End, most likely. I cook 'em, and then you pull 'em out with a pin.
Oh, I see.
Here's $1 for half a pint and a wad at lunchtime. Oh, and don't let anyone near the stall except them that wants to buy. See you back here at 8 o'clock.
Did you say 8 o'clock?
What's the matter with you? You got cloth ears?
8 o'clock this morning?
No, you nick, tonight. Right, off you go.
Okay. 5 in the morning to 8 at night. That's 15 hours. Well, the chief's not going to make much profit out of this barrow boy. No, sir. Okay, Cannon. Trundle the wheels of commerce.
Cannon, unsuspectingly thrust upon a world of strange customs and indecipherable jargon, was in an evil temper when, sweating profusely, he finally steered the Costa's barrow into the Walthamstow High Street.
15 quid a day. I don't need my head read. I need a private panel of phrenologists. Well, there it is. Now all I do is stand and wait for the customers. If there are any customers.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, ma'am. Greens, winkles, whelks.
You're new here, aren't you?
Ma'am, I'm greener than the greens.
I thought so. You haven't put your price markers up yet. The prices you're charging, it's marked on the tickets, but they're still lying face down on top of the vegetables.
Oh, hey, you speak English.
So does everyone in Walthamstow High Street.
Ma'am, I got news for you.
You're American, aren't you?
Well, that's what everybody says, so I guess they must be right. Hang on, I'll fix the price markers. You work here too?
Oh, heavens no. I shop here. I usually buy from Mr. Willis, but he hasn't been here for the past 2 days.
No, he broke his legs playing touch with a truck.
Oh, I am sorry. Are you looking after the store while he's indisposed?
That's right, ma'am. Cannon the coster, that's me.
Well, Mr. Cannon, now that you've got all the prices up, I'll make a few purchases. You can always remember me as your first customer.
Now, how can I remember you if I don't even know your name?
Is that necessary?
Oh, yes, it's good customer-coster relationship.
You know, despite that cap and muffler, you don't look the least bit like a costermonger.
Well, that's the first kind thing that's been said to me today. Let me take off the cap. There. Any improvement?
Not an East End haircut.
I'll take off the muffler. No?
Oh, a silk shirt and tie. And I'd say at a guess, a Savile Row suit under the overalls. Mr. Cannon, you'd better get back in disguise. You'll frighten your customers away.
Well, that's great, so long as I don't frighten you away. Miss...
All right. Karen Langley. Now to business. How much are the whelks?
Whelks? Hey, now you don't eat whelks.
Of course all Londoners do, especially my clientele.
Clientele? You use a word like that in Walthamstow?
Well, I buy certain commodities for a group of hotels. That's my job.
In some hotels, it's caviar, and in others, whelks. It's as easy as that.
Yeah. Don't handle the greens. Leave alone the whelks.
Now, if I can look over your shellfish...
Hmm? Oh, sure. Help yourself, Carl. You pick 'em over as much as you want. I don't have a pen now.
Oh, I'm not going to eat any, just see which are the best. Oh, I see in the card that they're 5 shillings a quart. Well, that's considerably more than Mr. Lipman on the next store is selling at.
Well, Carl, I got my orders. I can't sell 'em at less than the price marked, you see, but... Well, maybe I can make it up by knocking something off the greens.
Oh, I'm only interested in whelks, Mr. Cannon.
Okay, here we go. 5 quarts coming up.
Oh, that looks wonderful. 5 quarts at 5 shillings, that's 25 shillings. There you are.
Thank you. Hey, you nearly brought me out. Say, I'll finish here by 8 tonight, so how's about you and me taking in a shower?
Mr. Cannon, I never associate with common costume.
Hey, now, just wait a minute.
This afternoon, Mr. Cannon, I'll be back, and perhaps with a change of heart. Just let me think on the Savile Row suit and the other civilized trappings under that rough Coster exterior.
I promise you the best Chinese dinner you've ever eaten.
Why Chinese?
Well, ma'am, I couldn't look upon a spoonful of spinach ever again. The color green makes me see red. The word chlorophyll has been smitten from my vocabulary. From now on, I'm strictly a non-vegetarian.
Well, you'll get over it. Later, Mr. Cannon.
Okay. Wow, what a dish. Never saw a dish so full of beans. Beans? Oh, no. What the... Oh, it's you.
Can't fill you up again, Mr. Cannon. Oh, there. The whelk tray's full again.
Yeah. You don't waste any time, do you?
Oh, in this racket, time and money goes together, mate. And if you don't watch the money, you're as like enough to wind up doing time.
Warning was buzzing in Callum's brain. His subconscious was struggling to reconstruct something that had happened during the day that wasn't logical. Of one thing Callum was certain. All was not what it appeared to be. In some strange way, the greens glowed for danger. In the early afternoon, Marge returned to Cannon on the barrow.
Hello there, big boy. Trade's brisk, eh? You're good for business. Half the alley's come along to buy from you because they wants to hear you speak.
Yeah, it makes me feel like a sideshow.
Oh, don't really worry you, mate. How's the taking?
The other one?
The lolly. How much you got?
Oh, £8, 11 ninepence.
Hand it over.
Help yourself. It's in the drawer under the barrow.
Okay, big boy. Had any trouble?
Only selling the whelks.
Trouble with it?
Well, the trouble is, Marge, nobody will buy them. Lipman next door is selling at half price.
Let him. Don't you come down in price. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I guess you do it then. Oh, and by the way, there's a little guy over the road lounging on the corner.
Oh?
He's been there all day, and he spent the time watching me like a hawk.
Show me.
Over there, you see.
That's Wally Perkins. He's a copper's narc.
The police?
No. He watches where the coppers tell him, and then he splits on his mates.
Oh, a stool pigeon. But why is he watching me?
Well, because you knew, I suppose. Oh, don't let him worry you. He won't see anything here.
Well, there's nothing to see, I guess.
That's right, big boy. And if he gives you any trouble, I'll put his eye in a sling. Well, you're more than halfway sold. You might even finish early.
Yeah. At 5 bob a quart, I'll be sitting selling seashells until this time next year.
A cannon that can't get rid of his shells. I'll be back later, big boy.
Very funny. I should have stayed in bed. That dame's right out of the comic strip. Somebody should put her back again.
Or rub her out and draw her again.
Oh, Karen. Hey, the rains in Spain rain mainly in the plains.
Are you all right?
The English language. You learned it the second time I heard it today.
But everyone finds Cockney jargon terribly amusing.
Yeah, I like to hear Italian grand opera, too, but that always finishes after a few acts.
Well, can't you finish when you're sold out?
Well, then, if there were oysters, I might run up a sign saying, "Find the lucky pearl." As it is, who wants whelks for the price of caviar?
I do. Those who sold me this morning were excellent. I've come for another lot.
Look, Karen, I know you want to do me a favor, but I won't let you. You see, that old schmo next door is selling the same thing at half the price.
What do you know about English seafood? I want 5 quarts.
Okay, 5 quarts coming up.
That's 25 shillings. There we are.
Thank you very much. But, Karen, it's daylight robbery. You can't take those things. It's positively dishonest.
Because Lipman is selling them cheaper.
What else?
Yes. What else?
Okay. Hey, tonight, did my lady wrestle with her conscience and ordain to tangle with the humble proletariat?
She did, my lord, and she thanks you. A Chinese dinner sounds splendid.
You know something? That cockney noise is beginning to sound like a symphony. The captain's cabin in the Haymarket, okay?
What time?
8:30?
Will you have the barrow back in time?
I'll run all the way.
Well, the barrow will be empty.
Except for the shellfish. But they'll have been here so long by then they can run behind me.
Oh, all right, Mr. Cannon. I'll be there. 8:30.
Okay. Oh, boy. Into each life some sun must shine. A modern Molly Malone in the same piscatorial pattern. What? Oh, you again.
All nice and fresh, cooked them this morning.
You mean they won't have lost anything by not being under your bed all night?
Now, don't be cheeky, big boy. There you are, tray full.
Now, look, the deal was that I could take the barrow back when it was empty. You keep filling it up again.
Keep your shirt on. You can tell them at any price you want now.
No kidding? You mean even lower than Lipman?
What could be lower than Lickman? Sell them at any price you like, big boy.
Marge Willis, you're about to see modern American business methods go swinging into action.
With previous permission to drop the price on vegetables, Cannon now offered the passing shoppers a bonus pack. Shellfish at $1 a quart, provided a certain quantity of greens were bought too. In an hour, the barrow was empty. Cannon reflected that not even Marge Willis, with her wealth of experience, could have done as well as he. And so, with light heart and light barrow, he proceeded quickly towards number 27 Needle Street, South Walthamstow. He opened the doors of the stable, winked to Jenny the jackass, and parked the barrow for the night. Cannon then deemed it expedient to report his dismissal from duty to Marge Willis.
Now, where can she be? Under the bed with the Winkles, maybe? Hey, Marge, you in there? Oh, not here. Better leave a note for her in the afternoon's cash. Now, where can I put it so it's going to be safe? I know. With the Winkles under the bed. Nobody's going to look there. Better pull the bed to one side. Yeah. Oh, no. Wow. Buster, I don't know who you are, but somebody went to work on you with more than a Winkle pen. Oh. He's dead, all right. Cold dead. His body's been under this bed for a few days.
Mr. Cannon? Mr. Cannon?
Marge.
Cannon?
I'm here, Marge.
What are you doing in there?
Better pull the bed back where it was.
What are you doing in my room?
I just got here. I came to leave a note to say I'd finished early and to leave the cash from this afternoon's take.
You didn't monkey with my things, did you?
Oh, I should say not. What do you think I am?
All right. Don't come in here again. You can leave the money on the mantelpiece and scarf.
What about tomorrow, Marge?
Here the same time. And wait in the stable.
Okay. I told you I could offload that stuff if you brought the price down, didn't I?
You done all right. Off it now. I've got things to do.
You're the boss. So long, Marge. Don't forget to cook the Winkles. You might get lonesome without them under the bed. Hello, please? Now, listen, my name's Cannon. Yeah, Cannon, that's right. And I'm speaking from a phone booth in South Walthamstow. I work at a place called Assignments Unlimited. The phone number is Grosvenor 5995. Yeah, 5995, that's it. Now, listen, I'm going there right away. The address is 33 Half Moon Street, and I'll stay there until you call. Listen, I've just come from number 27 Needle Street, South Walthamstow, and there's the dead body of a man under the bed. He's good and dead, and he didn't die from natural causes.
An hour later, we received a visit from a police inspector who, having questioned Cannon carefully, delivered the information that number 27 Needle Street and the stable were empty at the time of their visit, and no dead body was under the bed or anywhere else on the premises. With a terse good night, the inspector left.
But I don't get it, Chief. I just don't get it.
You were standing in the sun all day.
Oh, don't give me that, Chief. You know better than that. Look, the guy was there as large as life. Well, you know what I mean. His legs were bent underneath him.
As though they'd been broken.
Yeah. Hey, you think it could have been Marge Willis's husband?
Perhaps. Well, what will you do now?
Well, I've got to keep a date with Karen Langley. If 27 Needle Street was empty, they won't know of the police visit. And I don't want to arouse anybody's suspicions.
What's Karen Langley got to do with it?
Plenty, unless I'm a Dutch uncle. Look, Chief, while I'm going to the Haymarket, can you get Penny Fairweather to ring around the hospitals?
To check on a man admitted with 2 broken legs?
That's it. Now, if the result is negative, you can carry on from there with Chief Inspector Bottomley of the Yard.
But he's not the murder squad.
No, I know, but he's a member of your club. That means he'll listen to you. If you draw a blank on Willis and the hospitals, I want a few plainclothesmen around in Walthamstow High Street tomorrow.
Well, what do you want them to do?
Make an arrest. The police said the stable was empty. That same stable contained a barrow and a jackass, or donkey, whatever you call it, when I left.
So?
Marge Willis alone couldn't pull that barrow, not if it had a corpse hidden on it. But the jackass could, and that's how she got rid of her late, unlamented husband.
Well, it shall be as you say. But why do you suspect Karen Langley?
I was very green not to have seen it before. I had a feeling all along that something was phony. Look, check the hospitals first, Chief. I know you'll draw a blank, and then the police can act. Well, seeing you, I'm about to wine and dine a deadly dame. And I know what a victim of Lucretia Borgia felt like.
Play it cool, Cannon.
You bet, Chief. I'm not all that green.
Cannon concluded his dinner without incident, and I had an urgent talk with Inspector Bottomley when the calls to the hospitals revealed no accident patients with 2 broken legs. Cannon's day to the market was repeated in the same pattern, but this time after Karen Langley had made a purchase of the whelps, at double the price they were offered elsewhere. The police closed in and arrested her. An inspection of the shellfish she'd purchased revealed not an edible sea snail, but a hoard of small diamonds, 1 to each shell. Karen Langley was a runner for a notorious receiver of stolen goods. This was their method of passing the stolen jewelry along, a method that might have gone undetected forever had Willis not had that accident with a lorry. Yes, it was an accident, but he was killed outright. If the news of his death had leaked out, Marge would have lost the corner stand, and the lucrative cover of Whelks and Greens would have been lost with him. It was Karen's own cover story that worried Cannon. If she did buy foodstuffs for hotels, why pay double the price and why only Whelks? Why not Greens? So now you know why the story was called Green for Danger.